Hi, everybody. Welcome to FNS Wrestling Podcast, episode 49. I am your host, and with me, as always, my co-host and teenage son, Jackson. Say hello, Jack.
Hi, I made a tree.
You made a tree.
Yeah, right here.
Oh, a Lego.
Tree.
Yeah, a tree. What is it, like a tree hideout? Tree.
Where did this guy's hand go?
You're not talking into the mic. That's not going to work.
I just realized this guy is missing a hand.
No. So, busy week for you. You got graduated.
Yeah.
The 2021 graduation is a drive-through.
Yep.
Well, and you had a little get-together outside at somebody's house earlier in the week. Was that this week?
Yeah,
It was all this week. And then like a drive-through grad where you get your diploma and your composite and shake some teachers' hands with your masks and get a couple pictures taken. So that was exciting.
So great.
Your mother and I got our second dose of the vaccine and we're feeling okay now. Mom was out of commission for a couple days. I was not feeling great, but a little better than she.
Really makes me want to get it.
Well, what are you going to do? It was, I'm
Not
feeling
get it now.
pretty much back to normal at the end of the day yesterday. I think we got them Wednesday. So it's been a bit of a
That sounds right.
interesting week around here. I don't know what else is really new. Rainy day all day yesterday. Looks like there might be rain today. Raining out your brother's outdoor basketball training, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not happy about that. I don't know. We're going to see what happens.
I'm drawing a blank. I can't think of anything.
No, me either. I don't have much for banter today. My brain is a bit not working great. But this episode's going to be a little bit different because obviously we're recording on Saturday morning, June 26th. Happy birthday to my dad and your grandpa, by the way. I don't know if he still listens. He might listen to the opening banter part, but nothing else. So if you are listening, Dad, happy birthday to you. What else was I going to say? Oh, yeah, the episode's different this week. It is, we have not seen Dynamite yet, as it is happening tonight.
And it's not happened yet.
So I think the plan is we'll come back down tomorrow and just quickly hammer out.
I would imagine.
Could do it late tonight. I doubt it, but it'll probably be tomorrow. So this episode 49 will be lacking your AEW Dynamite recap and analysis we normally give you, but
if you're only here for Dynamite, then that's not good.
Then stay anyways and listen to us talk about other stuff. So Dynamite, you can expect to see. It'll be up there tomorrow at some point for you guys. Hoping that that's a great show, but we got lots to talk about anyways, right? So I don't know. Should we transition into talking about it, or did you have any other things to discuss?
I didn't.
You didn't? All right. Well, let's move into our first segment of the week, which is news and rumors. So the ratings for, well, I can't say
news and
this
rumors
week,
and ratings.
This week and last week, because Dynamite's, I have to go back a week, right? So the June 18th episode of Dynamite drew 552,000 viewers on TNT, which is up 11.7% from last Friday's 487,000 viewers. In the 18 to 49 demographic, it drew a 0.2 rating, which is up slightly from last week's 0.19. And Tuesday's live edition of NXT this week drew 665,000 viewers on USA Network, which is down 4.3% from last week. And they earned a 0.17 rating in the 18 to 49 demographic, down 10.5% from last week. So nice to see Dynamite's numbers going up a little bit. Maybe people are aware they're on Fridays now, just in time to have them switch back to Wednesday, I think finally next week. But overall, NXT had a higher viewership.
You can get ratings.
Right. And what do you have for us?
So bad SmackDown stuff because Edge is back.
Yeah.
And he attacked Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
So he has to be in the main event, I guess.
He does have to be in the main event, I guess.
Which he's old.
Yeah, but
bad.
Okay, so you're not.
Just Edge is. He does he's taking up spots.
He is taking up spots. I don't know.
He doesn't need
I don't feel any kind of way about it because I don't really care. I don't watch the product, so I'll have to see it on a pay-per-view. I'm sure Money in the Bank or something.
This is the SummerSlam build, then
he could have a good match, I guess. I don't really care.
He could have a decent match, but I don't think that validates his place here.
Of course not.
I'm fine with him feuding Randy Orton or whatever, because that's just whatever crap.
But who else is ready for the main title picture? Who have they developed? I don't know. Maybe there's lots. I don't think of any offhand. But
I don't either.
No, so I don't know.
Maybe with the King thing, they can build Nakamura.
Maybe he's taken the belt from Reigns. I just seeing Reigns has
had it.
That
would be awful.
He's had it for over 300 days now or something like that, I think.
Yeah, like a week after SummerSlam, he'll have like a full year. I think.
Nice. So yeah, I don't know. That's whatever. I'm not thrilled with it, but it's main roster stuff, so it doesn't bother me too much. I don't have to watch it week to week. The Diamond Mine, which we'll talk about in depth. I'll try not to give any details away because that reveal came on
Although most
NXT.
people probably know if
they
they
do.
watch.
So it does debut Tuesday night, and the plan has been for months now. Actually, before one of the main people sort of disappeared from NXT, apparently they already had this angle planned from there. And the feud is supposed to be, quote, a big part of NXT increasing their focus on the cruiserweight division throughout the summer, which is kind of an interesting comment based on, I'm sure, a news item you're going to talk about in a couple seconds. But that's the plan, apparently, is to focus on the cruiserweight division this summer. And this new Diamond Mine, which we'll talk about a bit later, is supposed to be a big part of that. So,
Right.
all right, so we'll see. To spoil our feelings, we're both kind of cool. We're very excited about Diamond Mine, and I'm happy with it as well. So we'll get to that in a little bit. Why are you giving me a dirty look? I should be happier than I am?
Yeah.
Well, you sold it to me like it, because you got spoiled, so you sold it like it was something amazing.
Because I was so happy.
And it's good, but I'm not.
It was great.
Okay. So what do you have next?
So you were talking about it kind of, and so there was a lot of releases.
Yeah, they're going to focus on the cruiserweight division.
Especially the cruiserweight
right
variety.
After they
we
got
it. So these are the people gone. August Gray, Breezango, which is surprising. Everrise, which is kind of interesting.
Since they're just getting involved in stuff on NXT.
Killian Dane, Bollywood Boys, Tony Nese, Arya Daivari, Marina Shafir, Kurt Stallion, Arturo Ruas, whatever. Yep. Tino Sabatelli, and a writer named Kenneth Mobley.
Yes.
So a lot of cruiserweights down.
It's funny because Tino Sabatelli, that's his second time being released, and he hasn't really been on TV in between the two releases.
From the Cruiserweight Classic, they had so many guys. Yeah, from that tournament. Like, they've been signing people, too. Like, they had Murphy. They had, they've really been slowly depleting the ranks. Like, Ali and Alexander out of that.
Yeah, I think you're going to see more NXT people getting involved in that division.
You might have to right now. I mean,
if
they've got new guys like Ari Sterling or something, and like
he's cool.
Hale or whatever his name is.
New guy. Did you see August Gray's tweet?
No.
About how?
I know he did
because his match was already done, right? On 205 against, I forget who it is, but he basically sent a tweet after he got released saying something like, breaking news, this is now a loser leaves town match or something like that. Because I guess he must have lost the match.
That was funny.
So I mean, they're clearly cutting costs. And it's a lot of people that don't really get used a lot I
guess the Diamond Mine's leader guy must be like, and if you can keep Escobar in that division, I mean,
I don't think they are though. I think he's already out.
Now I feel like you kind of have to. Like, I mean, you've got
Kushida, the whole Diamond Mine, and then you can start. I don't know if they want to include guys like Kyle O'Reilly. Technically, most of their roster's cruiserweight at NXT.
Although I only want one Diamond Mine guy in cruiserweight.
I liked Uwas. I thought there was potential there for him.
I don't think he was 205, was he?
It was no, definitely not. But there's a bunch of people they just weren't using, or weren't using really productively. Like they used Breezango. 205
Live's only it's usually a 2-match, 1-hour show, right?
Right.
So.
They were using Breezango, but kind of as like gatekeeper, almost enhancement talent, and they're using Everrise as just kind of brief comedy, which I was enjoying. I don't care about
Fandango. I think Tyler Breeze is still good. I think if he were to revert back to the heel model character, I think he could have been more.
And they're who's Marina Shafir married to?
Roddy.
So that's interesting, right? He's getting kind of pushed and she's getting fired.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Killian Dane I like, but they don't seem to have any use for him or desire to use him. So I don't know. I'm sure these guys would prefer getting the paycheck from WWE, but it'd be nice that they can actually work as well. One of them, who was it I said? Their tweet was something about getting away from sports entertainment and getting back to pro wrestling. I forget who said that, but you'll notice not many of them are willing to say stuff like that because there's always that hope that they can get signed, right? So they're not trying to burn any bridges. So they're always like, oh, thanks WWE for the amazing opportunity, blah, blah, blah. Even guys that never got used meaningfully or did anything, they're all looking to keep that door open.
I wish they had kept Kurt Stallion.
So you know how you talked about Kenice Mobley being released? One of my news items is about her. Did you hear about her? So
it wasn't like some podcast comment?
Yeah, so she was on a podcast and made some comments, and I mean, wrestling fans jumped all over her apparently to the point where she closed their social media. So that's not really cool, I don't think. But what she said on the podcast, and WWE I think is saying it had nothing to do with her being released, but it seems kind of convenient timing. But anyways, what she said this week, She spoke about joining WWE and was upfront about her lack of knowledge regarding the product. Quote, "Yes, I have just been hired by WWE. Given the things that you know about me and my entire life and what I'm into, yes, that's surprising. Yes, also a surprise for me. They did not require me to know anything about wrestling, but I do have a background in film production and comedy writing, and they're like, perfect, come on in." So already wrestling fans are going to be mad, right?
No, I think that makes sense.
It sounds believable.
For WWE.
Her other line, ready for this one? She also spoke about the Raw brand and was unsure of Bobby Lashley's name, which was the line that drew a lot of criticism. Quote, "So I am on the Monday Night Raw team. So there's Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown, and the people I know that are on it are Bobby, his name is either Bobby Ashley or Bobby Lashley, and I really should know that. He's like this giant black guy, and he has the people who are part of his crew. I know that they call, or at least as of last year, they called themselves the Hurt Business. The Hurt Business. They wear suits, and they're like, we're cool." So... had no knowledge of the product, seems to still not have much knowledge of the product, right?
Say what you knew, and that made it worse.
Right. So obviously, wrestling fans jumped all over this, and in this day and age,
I mean, that's a little more jump overboard. I mean, like, obviously, like, don't go overboard, but like, I could see. And like, I could understand them not, like, people like, hey, about that more than the first one. And
the sheer volume of people just... So I think she shut down her social media stuff for a bit. But anyways.
And I think so many people are just, like, so sensitive. Like, just defendant of WWE.
Wrestling fans are very, very passionate,
They're so
right?
just
Us included.
Especially the people who just love them. They're going to defend that crap till the end.
And they already, like, hate the
They'd
writing.
probably be mad at me for just saying it was crap.
They already complain about the writers, and to find out from the writer's mouth that, yes, I know nothing about wrestling. I don't even know the champion's name right now. Like, that's... just upsetting to them.
Just so great.
But that's all I have for news.
But she knows the name of his faction that no longer exists,
right.
So give her something.
That's right. Do you have anything else? I'm all done for news.
So there are reportedly some plans for Marina Shafir before her release, including a possible name change.
Oh yeah.
So kind of interesting that she's out.
Yeah, and there's speculation, right, that it's what Khan is it? I know Tony's AEW, the other one.
Nick Khan.
Right, that he's involved in these meetings and he's just coming through and slashing because he doesn't mind being the bad guy. And then I've seen reports that no, that's not the case. So I didn't put either of those in the news because I don't really know. I've seen several things saying yes, it is, meetings with him that this is coming out of, and then I've heard no, it's not really. So I don't really know.
Right.
What else do you have?
2 NXT Dark matches took place before SmackDown.
They sure did.
Yeah, Karrion Kross versus Slapjack.
Yep.
And Scarlett versus Shotzi Blackheart.
I've heard that they hope to use Scarlett main roster as a in-ring performer and not just
I've heard that
manager.
they're planning to separate Kross and Scarlett.
Yeah.
And also when Kross was on main event, which we reported last week, I believe.
Yep.
He had a major entrance downgrade. Did you see it?
I watched.
He just walked out like a normal schmuck and no Scarlett. And then he did like his the pose thing in the ring, kind of, but that was like the only thing resembling.
I actually
his
watched
entrance.
it with the side by side of his NXT entrance.
Oh, that's awesome!
So you could really see the glaring difference.
Yeah, and he just walks out like a normal dude.
And it's funny because you're sort of happy about this news, not that you watch main event, but that you're hoping it foreshadows him. Leaving NXT.
They're trying him out on SmackDown too. Like...
Take him from a show that we watch and enjoy and put him on one we don't watch and don't care about. And Bronson Reed as well, right?
But he was on main event, yes.
Yeah.
And I think wouldn't wrestling a dark match before SmackDown be weird because there's no fans?
It would. Doesn't it feel like Vince just sat down and finally clicked on or somebody printed out, because maybe he doesn't use computers, I don't know. Somebody printed out the NXT roster and handed it to him with pictures, and he just kind of looked through and he went, nah.
Ooh, big guy.
6'4". Huh? What? That guy and that guy.
Can hardly wrestle.
I want those two. Keep all the little guys on it. Fine. Good.
Yeah,
good for me.
Those are the guys I like.
Yeah. Anything else?
WWE announces their first UK tour in 2 years. It's set to take place in September 2021.
That's good. I mean, hopefully things are open and travel's happening. That's a good sign that things are getting under control. Anything else?
Shayna Baszler apparently loves teaming with Nia Jax.
Yeah, what's she gonna say?
That's great.
That's one of those, like, what are you gonna say, right?
I guess.
No, I hate it. It's the worst. Okay.
Because it's a fresh challenge that adds more tools to her toolbox. Kind of like she's like
So
not prepared for tag matches, and Nia's been a big help behind the scenes.
Fresh challenge, working with someone who sucks. It might be the interpretation there too, right? Like,
I really hope this is just her having to say that, because if you love teaming with Nia Jax,
well, if she got asked, like, what can she possibly say? How can she possibly say anything negative or even neutral?
You could say it negative, but like you could say, like, I'm sure
really.
Nia's a good person. Like you could.
People like her, yeah.
But she sucks. She's a terrible wrestler.
She's not good.
Awful.
She's not good. She's no Shayna Baszler, that's for sure.
No, she's the opposite of Shayna Baszler.
Yep.
Shayna Baszler's great, and Nia Jax is not.
That's a fair assessment, I think.
Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens got a Money in the Bank qualifier match next week, but it's a last man standing match. So
really?
That's kind of interesting.
So how long are they going?
I don't know. But that's cool.
Yeah, that's interesting. That I don't know. Have either of them had major stories going right now to get in the Money in the Bank? I mean, I'd like either of them in there because I like them, but
no, I actually do. I've got all the Money in the Bank qualifier results in any of the wrestling business, so I'll talk about that later.
Oh, cool. Okay. Anything else for news?
No.
That's it?
Yeah.
All right. Well, that will take us into talking about the only in-depth one we're really going to get into this week, and that is this week's NXT.
I was going to say Impact, but that's only really you.
And it's less depth. I don't go quite as serious for that one.
Impact.
Yeah, sometimes it's good. I think there was one week where it was my favorite show, which was very strange to say, but it was true.
Yeah.
All right, so NXT this week starts with a recap of last week, including the Regal Joe storyline, all the backstage battling between superstars, Joe acting as Regal's sort of enforcer, and we're told
I still don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, and I feel bad because another podcast came up with it first, how we didn't get the assistant to the general manager. That's one of those things that, dang it, that's clever. I should have thought of that myself.
Office reference.
Yeah. So tonight, Adam Cole will choose an opponent, and Kyle O'Reilly has already chosen his. He will face Kushida in the main event tonight. And I thought just this opening package was really well done. Obviously, their production stuff is almost always top quality. I thought this looked pretty good. Gets you a little bit hyped for the upcoming show.
They usually have a pretty clean opening package.
They do. So the show starts. Adam Cole comes out to address who he will face tonight, as he gets to choose his own opponent before facing Kyle O'Reilly in the future. So Cole comes out to talk about facing O'Reilly and about Samoa Joe assaulting and attacking him last week. As he remembers, he sort of provoked, as is the rule, right? Joe can only attack if he's provoked. So Cole sort of hit him in the midst of a melee, right?
Just let Joe wrestle, come on.
And Joe choked him out in 5 seconds. So he gets to handpick his opponent. He was backstage, he says, thinking about it, and he tells us there's no way he's picking his opponent. He reminds Samoa Joe that there's a new king of the brand, and that we're looking at him.
Why wouldn't he pick his opponent? Like, oh, right, because they told him to, I guess?
Right, so it's just him being anti-authority. He says after he embarrasses Kyle O'Reilly at Great American Bash, everyone will recognize him as the greatest NXT superstar of all time, and says this match isn't happening, meaning his choosing his own opponent. But out comes Carmelo Hayes to issue a challenge, saying that Cole may not know him, but he knows Cole. He introduces himself, says if anyone is going to change Cole's mind, it'll be him. Cole seems somewhat amused by this guy coming out, asks how that's going to happen, and Hayes says what's sort of a famous phrase in wrestling history, with ruthless aggression, and then he slaps Adam Cole, and basically that's enough to get this match going. So what did you think about this opening segment?
I liked it. Cole's always a good promo, and I thought Hayes was good. I don't know if the ruthless aggression retread is necessary, but
I kind of like that, because I think you could argue that Cole is kind of like the Cena of NXT, right? And that this guy's trying to make his name.
Wouldn't Hayes be the Cena in this situation?
Oh yeah, I guess that's true.
And Cole is the Kurt Angle.
Yeah, okay, then Cole's the Kurt Angle. He's whatever. He's the big, most impressive guy, and this guy's trying to make a name for himself.
Yes.
I thought it kind of fit. I think, without talking about Hayes in the ring yet, I think he's got some decent charisma. He presented himself well here.
It's weird because he seems like a face here, where like he looked like a heel, and then he shook hands with Kushida. So
it might be just they're trying to figure it out. I don't know. Cole refusing to respect authority and follow any rules made by them makes sense, right? And Cole's really good in that role as just the selfish jerk who's going to do what he wants whenever he wants, which is what I prefer. I think he was fine as a babyface for the most part, but this is obviously what I prefer. I think you do too.
This is Adam Cole.
Right. This is where he really shines.
When you think Adam Cole, you don't think of a babyface.
Not at all. So we transition into that match, which is Carmelo Hayes versus Adam Cole. Hayes starts out on fire, dives over the top onto Cole early. Pump kick sends Hayes to the floor, turns the tide for Cole. Corner stomps by Cole, forearm and a suplex. Neckbreaker by Cole. Cole kicks low after a fake, but Hayes hits a tiebreaker and a clothesline. Cole pushes Hayes off the top to the floor, quickly follows up by throwing him into the barricade, which looked really good. Hayes took it really well. Running back elbow by Cole levels Hayes back in the ring. Hayes later barely avoids a countout. Cole screams at him in the corner when he gets back in. Strike exchange and another pump kick by Hayes. Hayes runs he runs into a boot from Cole, but counters Cole into a cutter for a 2 count that looked pretty good. Enziguri and a lung blower by Hayes for a 2 count. Backstabber by Cole, sort of to stop Hayes' momentum as he was kind of on a roll here in the middle part of this. We get a really nice super kick as Hayes is coming off the ropes, and then a Panama Sunrise in the corner. And Cole wins what was a pretty competitive match, I thought. What did you think of it?
Yeah, I thought this was a really great opener, and Cole, I think, is such great talent. I think he's a good wrestler himself, but he did a great job putting Hayes over, made him look good. Open challenge-like scenario, I think you were saying as well. Remember we were talking about it?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of allowed for Hayes to get this offense in.
Exactly.
Hayes in his own right, I think, is actually really good. You could argue he looked good because he was against Kushida and Adam Cole, which helped for sure, but I think he undoubtedly held his own in both matches. Mm-hmm. I think he's a future star for this brand, whether it's in mid-card or cruiserweight. I can't really tell if he's a heel or a face, but I think he'll be fine either way.
They can sort of push him one way or the other when they see what they need, I think. I also thought this match was pretty awesome. I thought Hayes looked great, and Cole played the perfect heel that basically underestimated. This is what we were talking about, right? Like, he underestimated his opponent, and that allowed for Hayes to showcase his offense because Cole's kind of caught by surprise and just barely survives in the end. And I think that Cole understands the nuance of this type of stuff better than other people, right? And he even looked, his facial expressions at the end of it, kind of like...
Just he was surprised, he won, but he was surprised
and kind of annoyed.
It was that difficult.
Yeah, so it's this cool idea that this guy can compete with Cole because Cole wasn't expecting to have a match at all, and he doesn't even know who this guy is, and this guy kind of caught him by surprise. Cole had to tighten up and win in the end. I thought this was a really cool way to let Hayes get a lot on Adam Cole and for it to make sort of sense to me. So I thought this was an excellent opener. Mm-hmm. So Frankie Monet is with the Robert Stone brand again, minus Robert Stone. So that would be Jesse, Kamea, and Aaliyah.
Ugh.
They talk about their matches coming up, how sure they are that they'll all win. And then they talk about maybe they should call themselves the Winner's Circle. Ha ha ha. So is that a reference to the Inner Circle, I was wondering?
Or is that just them
or both?
Trying to not acknowledge that they're dorks? Well, Ty Valkyrie's not, but...
Although we'll talk about her a bit later, too. Stone comes in, and Frankie says that she was telling them what a great night it would be for the Robert Stone brand and Frankie Monet. She high-fives Robert, and he screams. So I think the idea is that Frankie's saying one thing to Kamea and Aaliyah, and then saying another thing to Robert Stone, right?
Wait, but wasn't she saying the same thing?
I think she's sort of implying that they could do better without Robert Stone, and that they don't need... I'm not quite sure, to be honest. But it seems like there's these knowing glances where, well, I'll tell you what I thought about it. So I think I don't love Frankie interacting with this group for long because I think she's sort of a bigger star. But again, I'm going to talk about her a bit more later. She looked like a star coming in, but a star wouldn't be in a multi-week storyline with Robert Stone brand as they are presented at this point, right? So I'm hoping this is temporary before something bigger for her. But it seems to sort of be teasing Kamea and Aaliyah ditching Stone and forming a faction with Monet, which I'm not sure how I feel about that.
I don't want that.
Because it's kind of like she says one thing to them, and then when Stone walks in, she's like, "Oh, I'm just saying how great it's going to be for your brand tonight." But
wasn't she saying that
they're going to win? But I don't know if she. Anyways, I feel like that's where they're going with it. What did you think of the segment, anyways?
I don't know. I didn't love it, and I don't get why Taya's around these dorks.
It doesn't make her look great. I think she needs to quickly move into a bigger program with somebody a little more elevated than this. Mm-hmm. So Mackenzie talks to Zoe Stark next. She asks about tagging with Io. Zoe says she was paying Io back for giving her first match at NXT, by being her partner in the match last week. She was surprised Io asked, but we all know that Io doesn't play well with others.
How would we know that?
Yeah, I was wondering what she was referring to there, but anyways.
I don't know.
Io says she respects Zoe, but doesn't like her. So I was like, what? Is Io now?
I think maybe they're just trying to further
Io's just the loner? I don't think she's turning heel, right? Or tweener? I don't know.
I don't know. This is very out of the blue.
It was. Zoe says mutual respect is all they need tonight. Basically, like, I don't need her to like me. As long as we respect each other, we can sort of function as a team, I guess. So yeah, I was a little bit confused. Io seems to be getting a bit of an edge to her, which I'm fine with. It came out of nowhere.
Was fine, but how we know Io's not a team player? Like, this just feels like very sudden just to fit what they needed.
Well, I'm glad you say that, because when I hear that, sometimes I'm like, I'm just forgetting something, that Io clearly turned on somebody or had issues with somebody. But if you
turned on Candice LeRae, I guess, but they weren't really a team. They were just kind of friends.
Right. So I don't know. We'll see where it goes. I don't have a problem with a more edgy Io Shirai. That's fine by me. So LA Knight segment, he's at a mansion poolside, talking about his win at In Your House. He basically summarizes his turn on DiBiase and Grimes coming in to sort of make the save. Knight says he always knew that Grimes was a moron, but the fall he took on the ladder will be nothing compared to when Knight drops him on his head next time. And then he does "it's his game" catchphrase, whatever it is. What did you think of LA Knight here?
So standard LA Knight, so it's fine. He basically just recapped last week and reused some insults like the Hill Jack, which I don't get that.
Yeah.
Same as usual, pretty much. Probably should move up to the main roster sooner or later, because I don't.
Why wasn't he on, what is it, main event?
Or dark match?
So this was fine. I think he suits this role. It held my attention, but I wasn't like super entertained. I do, though, think there is potential for him in this gimmick with this belt. In hindsight, I think it probably was the right decision to put the belt on Knight rather than Grimes, because Grimes is going to be a babyface now, I think. And there's a lot that a guy like Knight can do as a heel with this belt. So I think that there's actually potential for this, and we'll see where it goes. But seems to be the right choice to put that belt on him, I think.
Right.
Johnny Gargano and Austin Theory come to the ring. Gargano says it's exciting times. There's new management, which means they need a new NXT champion, a new face of the brand. They don't need the big, angry, leather-jacketed Doom guy. They need the handsome, hardworking, headband-wearing, respectable family man in Gargano. He says his 57 days as NXT champion was when the brand thrived and was paradise. And he proved that Karrion Kross isn't at his level at TakeOver, outclassing him every time they were in the ring together. Everyone knows he can out-wrestle Kross on his worst day. This brings out Pete Dunne and Oney Lorcan.
Peter Dunne.
Dunne asks, is this guy mad? Right? Saying he must be, meaning like crazy, not angry, because he is from the UK. Saying he must be if he thinks he's number one contender over Dunne. He tells Theory to shut up just as he's about to open his mouth. Theory gets mad, but Gargano tells him to chill because he knows Dunne is trying to provoke him. They are under new management.
I like Theory. He's like, I'm provoked. He keeps saying, I'm provoked.
They are under new management, and they're law-abiding citizens. They're like, look, we're baby faces. We're such good guys. And don't book any shenanigans. He puts the mic down and walks off. Theory talks some trash to Dunne, says he's watching him, and sort of gives him the "I'm watching you" gesture with his fingers, which Dunne, of course, grabs them and snaps them. What did you think of this?
I thought this was good. I think Gargano's funny because, like, they're pretending to be babyfaces, kind of, because, like, they're obviously sucking up to Joe. Like, I don't think they're actually faces.
They're those people at work that when there's a new... Remember the Office,
right?
When Charles starts and like everybody, especially Kelly and Angela, because they like him, are sucking. Everyone sucks up to the new boss, right? They're trying to make that great first impression,
right?
So yeah, I think this is an improvement in the way, right? These segments I kind of find way more entertaining than the ones that were in like their home and stuff like that. And it seems like we're getting the way two separate stories now instead of all four of them. It's kind of like the guys have a storyline and Candice and what's her face, Indy, have their own storyline. So I find this kind of entertaining.
And I like Dunne always, so.
Not my favorite Dunne speaking part here, but it sets something new in motion, right? I don't know who the babyface is if these guys are going to meet, but the matches that come out of this should be awesome, right? If they're tag match, yep. Or any sort of Theory and Dunn, Theory, and Gargano. All of those, or sorry,
Theory and Lorcan.
Gargano and Dunn. All of those combinations
I think
sound
this
pretty
will just
fun.
be kind of like a mini feud, because it's just like trying to figure out I think it's just to figure out the pecking order to cross.
And Theory's become a pretty funny like comedy sidekick. I think
and
he's doing a good job.
He's improved pretty good in the ring as well.
He's good.
I've noticed.
So Cameron Grimes arrives in the parking lot, tips everyone he meets. He says he runs into. He says Ted's doing okay. One of the guys comes up to him, who is Ari Sterling from 205, formerly Alex Zane, who's actually pretty cool in the ring. He's there, says that Grimes came from the nursing home, sort of insulting DiBiase's age, and Grimes immediately decks him with a forearm and walks off. So Grimes, this is established.
Also chucks money at him.
Just further establishing him as a babyface, which is not my preference for Grimes, or most people, because I'm a heel guy. But I thought this was okay. What about you?
No, but I think if someone's better as a face, you'll know.
Yeah.
Right. I like this. It's just kind of Grimes being the $1 million man, kind of.
I'm wondering if it's gonna get Ari Sterling involved in anything here. If this is gonna be just a one-off, or if he's gonna.
I think it might just be like one of those things where it's just like.
Because he's one of the 4 rostered people on 205 right now.
Right.
Apparently, there's 4 people left on the roster. It's crazy. So yeah, we'll see where it goes. I wouldn't mind actually getting Sterling into the ring.
Brian Kendrick.
He is one of them.
Yes.
He is. The list I saw, anyways. I can't remember who the other ones were, but he was one of them. Mackenzie
suck at people who don't like Brian Kendrick.
Mackenzie asks Cole about his match with Kyle O'Reilly and says he doesn't want to talk about that. Regal comes in and says he's glad Cole continued with the match tonight and says there's no animosity between him and Joe. Cole is upset about Joe choking him out, but Regal said Cole put his hands on Joe and Joe is allowed to defend himself. Cole goes off on Regal, says he's leaving because he doesn't want to be there anyways. Pretty much it. What did you think?
I like this. Just Cole being angry and kind of like Regal's like it's all good, and Cole's like no, it's not. Which I think was cool, and he did not leave.
No, he did not leave. Well, no. The dynamic between these two I think is really good too. Cole's like the spoiled little brat, and Regal's like the calm sort of straight man, just sort of telling him how it is for Cole to play off of. I think the dynamic between them is pretty entertaining. Both really good performers, right? So in opposite roles together, it works really well for me. The next thing we see is that the battery is charged up to 31%. So this is
a running thread.
This is my new Diamond Mine, right? Hoping it's as interesting as that too when we get the reveal out of it.
I don't know. I think Diamond Mine was pretty interesting.
I know. We'll get there.
I hope so.
Gargano and Theory are backstage. They knock on Regal's door, walk in, start talking about Theory's broken fingers, and say that there need to be consequences. Regal agrees about there being consequences, says that Gargano and Theory will face Dunn and Lorcan in a tag match tonight. Gargano is comedically furious, and he and Theory leave. What'd you think?
I like this. I think Gargano's complaining to Regal segments, as I would say.
Yes.
They're usually pretty good. I like this. I literally wrote Gargano.
They've grown on me as well. Him just constantly complaining about everything, right? And Regal just sort of subtly going, you can sort of get your own consequences by facing them in the ring, which is obviously not what Gargano wants, right? He doesn't want to have to deal with them himself. So I thought this was a fun little bit as well. Zoe Stark, Io Shirai versus Jessie, Kamea, and Aaliyah, the Robert Stone brand. So Io starts out with chops and a flapjack, followed by a drop kick. Starks gets in. She starts working arms. Head scissors by Stark, or sword to Stark, but she flips out of it, which I thought was pretty impressive. Kamea's in with a low spinning kick to Stark for 2. Double stomp by Stark, and she starts to fire up. We get a rope assisted elbow drop as she sort of slingshots over by Kamea. Indy and Candice come out as Stark is isolated in the heel corner. Indy and Candice taunt Io from ringside as Aaliyah stays in control, surprisingly. Heading into a commercial, Kamea throws Aaliyah onto Stark for a 2 count. We get holds applied by Aaliyah, but Stark powers out with a slam and both of them make tags now. Io shoulder tackles and a flapjack. She knocks Aaliyah off the apron, hits a 619 to Indy. Kick to Aaliyah as she tries to get involved, then a missile drop kick to Kamea. Nice kick by Kamea, and she tags out. Northern Lights suplex by Aaliyah for 2. Stark back in with a double drop kick and a suplex to Kamea. Io tags in. Moonsault. It's over. And the baby faces win here. Candice and Indy look like they're going to get in the ring. And sort of the baby faces are getting surrounded, right? They're back to back, I think, right? Io and Zoe Stark are standing back to back in the middle of the ring.
Classic. We're going to like, I don't know, you know, the thing where
Yes,
they're ready to fight everybody.
That's right. Here come Dakota and Raquel. They say Io and Zoe aren't jumping the line for the tag team championships. The baby faces are surrounded. Things look bad for them. And out come the saviors of Shotzi and Ember, who say that the rest are all getting out of line. And since they beat Raquel and Dakota for the titles, Kai and Gonzalez should be last in line. Shotzi says they forgot.
Surely they're ahead of the Robert Stone brand.
Shotzi says they forgot, so they need to remind them. Things quickly break down into a 6-woman brawl among these potential contenders for the title. Joe comes out, calls out security, and they break it all up.
And the refs.
Yes,
who were very effective.
What'd you think?
This is a fine match, I guess. The Robert Stone brand is not good. As good as Io is, she can't carry 2 terrible wrestlers. And Stark is good, but I think still not at the stage where she can carry a match, which I think we mentioned before.
Yep.
Like, she's good, but I don't think she's, like, carrying a match yet.
Right.
Aftermath was going fine until Ember and Shotzi chose to speak.
Oh, my goodness.
They were really bad.
I get embarrassed. I don't know. Maybe it's just us, but when they
were, like, that's not even me hating them. They were actually really bad.
The more fired up that they try to be, especially Ember, the more I just struggle with it.
Yeah, she was like, what? She held that for way too long. I'm starting to think they're, like, genuinely terrible. Like, not just I don't like them. Like, I actually think they're bad.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't think that Ember speaking is ever very good. And
and Shotzi being there is not very good.
So I thought this match was just okay. There was a lot of Stark taking offense from these not super talented heels, I thought. Kind of standard.
That's putting it nicely.
I preferred the Aftermath. It was kind of the main focus of this anyway, I think. It was nice way to get Kamea some time in the ring with Io, I guess, right? Because it's all about, I think they see something in Kamea.
Which I think is odd.
She's got a cool look, and she is developing a few cool moves. So I think there's a chance. I think she's really young, too. So getting her in the ring with Io and some experienced talent is probably a smart move. I didn't like Stark for a little bit there, getting pretty much dominated by Aaliyah wasn't my favorite thing. And the Aftermath was kind of a standard, let's get all the tag teams out here, right?
I think this is kind of them putting some attention on the division, but it's really only these 4 teams and the Robert Stone brand who are essentially jobbers.
Right.
And then Io and Zoe literally started teaming on this show. So it's like 3 quote-unquote established teams, and then a new team, and then a jobber team.
They seem to be reluctant to establish teams, right? It's kind of just, even Shotzi and Ember, they're now established, but in the beginning they weren't.
Despite them claiming they have the best women's division, then put something to use. Like, you got Cora Jade and Priscilla Kelly sitting around, like, bring them in. Yeah. Like, they've been jobbers since the Dusty Cup. Like, you've got people lying around. Do something about it.
Well, hey, you want to complain about this tag team division? You don't watch Impact, so you don't even know. Because their Knockouts tag division is like, I don't think
they have, like, I think NXT at least has, like, a plethora of people where they can form teams. Like Cora Jade and Gigi Dolan, which is Priscilla Kelly's actual WWE name.
Right.
Like, they were teaming in the Dusty Cup, so there's, like, quote unquote an established team that you could put in, whether they're like lower card or not. It's just something you got to fill the ranks.
Yeah, and so this was supposed to, like, sort of show, hey, we've got a whole bunch of competitive teams, which I guess was fine. It was a pretty standard thing. I didn't really have a problem with it. The only thing that stood out to me was in a bad way was Shotzi and Ember.
Oh my God,
when they made their entrance.
Actually really bad.
Other than that, I thought it was pretty decent. We got a quick vignette from Kushida previewing tonight's main event with him and O'Reilly, which should be pretty awesome. Then we look back at Ciampa and Thatcher's match with the Grizzled Young Veterans last week.
I'm excited for the next tag match.
With Ciampa and Thatcher getting the win via double submission. 2 weeks from tonight, Ciampa and Thatcher get an NXT Tag Team Championship match against MSK at the Great American Bash. Thoughts?
I'm very happy about that.
I actually am as well, and I'm fine. I kind of think that MSK should drop the titles.
I wouldn't be opposed to that. Like, I think either way I would be happy with it, but I'm not opposed to that.
This is one of those things where MSK, don't get me wrong, I really enjoy them in the ring. All of their matches have been really fun, but I don't know if are the belts really doing anything for them?
Right, and like I think Ciampa and Thatcher are an all-around good team.
And I don't think MSK, if they don't have the belts, they're not any different to me. Like, I don't think the belts are helping them. They're
Plus,
gonna,
they could be good belt chasers if GYV eventually get it.
yeah, like,
And maybe that'll be like, then they can have like another run at some point.
yeah.
Like,
So I think the match will be awesome, and I'm okay either way as well. I don't like. I'm not saying the belts will be amazing on Thatcher and Ciampa, but
actually,
I don't.
they could be because I think they're a really good team.
I just don't really think it's adding that much to MSK. I'm gonna like them and enjoy their matches no matter what, and part of it is, I guess, because they can't, or they don't, or I don't find them effective, I guess I'll say, at promos and stuff. So having the
I think
belts,
that's their weakness. Whereas Ciampa and Thatcher, I think they're
Right.
really strong in that, and they're good in the ring.
and having belts on guys that can't speak and don't have someone to speak for them, I just sort of
that's a bit of an issue.
forget about it, you
I
know?
would agree.
All right, so the next match we get is going to be The Way, Austin Theory and Johnny Gargano versus Pete Dunne and Oney Lorcan.
Mhm.
So this, well, we'll save our reactions to the end, but wow. Dunne needs to, I think, my note as it started was that I think Dunne needs to go solo. I don't really like him coming in with Lorcan.
Right, and it's like his faction that Pat
disintegrated.
McAfee, it has disintegrated because first McAfee was just gone for no reason. Then Birch got injured, and so now Lorcan's essentially a lackey.
I saw your boy Rich Holland's due to come back in July.
I don't like him still.
I know. So I called him
kind
your
of
boy.
forgot how much I don't like him.
But anyways, I just think Dunne as the lone wolf now is what I want, right? Just as the
Actually, he'd be a lone bear. He's got a bear.
He's the toughest
tattoo.
man in the company. He doesn't need anyone with him, that sort of thing. But anyways, Theory and Gargano are still, because they just learned
if he didn't have Lorcan with him, we wouldn't have gotten this match. So
a subtle little bit of comedy as Theory and Gargano come out still getting dressed, right? Because this match was sort of sprung on them by Regal, which I thought was a nice touch.
They did have a decent amount of time with the last match and a
Right.
couple of little segments. So,
But
I know why. Yeah, it makes sense.
And then as they're in the ring and they're doing their no-look high five thing, Theory's like still adjusting his gear, so he's sort of late on the high five. Just these
That
subtle,
was kind of funny.
subtle little things, right? I kind of enjoy. So Lorcan starts out against Gargano, doubles him over with midsection kick, but Gargano hits a couple drop kicks and an arm drag and tags in Dunne. Gargano with an arm lock, and he goes to get Theory, but the tag hits the broken fingers, and the distraction lets Dunne take over, knock Gargano off the apron. We get a double chop to Theory in the corner, and he takes over Lorcan with a suplex before tagging Gargano back, for double back elbows and a double elbow drop. Dunne in, drop kick by Theory as Gargano holds Dunne. Dunne works Theory's arm while punching his ribs. Kick to the arm and then the chest by Dunne, and a nice drop kick by Theory. He clotheslines Lorcan to the floor, tries to follow up, misses, and gets taken out by a Dunne clothesline out on the floor. Dunne and Lorcan drop Theory on the apron as we head to commercial. It was like a double choke bomb sort of thing. It looked kind of painful there. We got a low DDT by Lorcan to Theory. Dunne and Lorcan isolate Theory for a little bit here. Hot tag finally to Gargano, who really, I feel like I guess we can talk about it later, but it almost feels like they're leaning babyface a little bit.
Oh, at least for this match, because I feel like they're both heel teams, but Dunne's a serious heel.
Yeah, serious heel versus comedy heel
so
means
like
the comedy
it
heels.
almost like whether it is or not, it looks more face, right?
They feel like they're being presented more babyface than the women are, than Candice and Indy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see.
I want Gargano to turn face, and I want Theory to go back to his cocky.
Yeah.
Kind of like what
I'm just starting to like him as the funny guy, so I want him to stay for a bit doing this.
I just want Gargano to go back to his top. He was a top guy, I think, and then like
for 57 days.
No, but like he was NXT's guy, like whether he was winning or not, like because like when he was being champ or like the matches with Almas,
he's Johnny Takeover, man.
Right, and I feel like whether he's been on Takeover, I feel like he hasn't been Johnny Takeover.
I feel like
for
there was
a
a bit of Johnny Takeover coming out in this match. It's off of this hot tag.
Yeah.
He hits a bulldog clothesline combo to both heels, kick to Dunne's face, slingshot spear to Theory, suicide dive onto Dunne. Then we get this a little later, the split-legged springboard Spanish fly thing Theory's doing out of the corner. That's cool.
He's improved so much.
He's a talented kid,
I'm very
man.
impressed. Yeah.
Discus clothesline by Gargano to Dunne as things sort of break down here in the middle. Chops exchanged by Theory and Lorcan. We get the blockbuster by Lorcan. His blockbuster he gets some extra snap on it.
He's fairly good. That's one of his signature moves, and he does it well.
He's going so fast, and if you think about it, you're really just giving yourself a suplex, right? Like
right.
But he snaps it. It looks really good. We get some sort of painful looking hold by Dunne to Theory. Lorcan is pushed onto them to break it up. Gargano chops Dunn with a German suplex and a stomp on the hands. Gargano comes back with a rising kick. Lorcan and Dunn hit a double team sort of powerbomb thing for 2 as Theory makes the save on Gargano. Dunn hits an enziguri on Theory. Then Lorcan hits an uppercut. Gargano tags in and lands a super kick. Gargano sends Dunn out of the ring, leading to, oh my goodness, a suicide dive,
I love
dive
this move.
DDT that was so
like,
fast, so clean.
I was hoping from doing we hit. I'm like, yes.
It looked amazing.
And Dunn's great at selling DDTs,
yes,
I've noticed now. So
this was an awesome spot.
Right. I love that move.
So Dunn's now out of the picture on the floor. Obviously, Gargano heads back into the ring, hits the one final beat DDT to Lorcan, and they pick up the pinfall victory. The Way comes away victorious. Karrion Kross walks out, takes out Gargano outside
with
the ring,
this crummy forearm,
and leaves Theory as Theory is checking on Gargano. What did you think of this?
I thought this match was actually
loved
great.
it. Yeah,
I loved it.
It
was awesome. There was action all over the place. And this would not feel out of place as a takeover opener, in my opinion. Like you said, Gargano was Johnny Takeover. I mean, it's weird. Even though he was awesome here, just it's not the same as his babyface Gargano, but he was awesome.
Yep.
I liked this from start to finish. Didn't even start too slow. Dunn and Gargano, as of late I've noticed, seem to have some great chemistry.
I think they just know that they can go full speed against each other and be safe, right? The other guy's so good.
Gargano always hits that bitter end counter DDT, but I love it every time. And I think Theory's really improved, and I thought it showed more here.
Yep.
That Spanish Fly move he does, that's awesome.
That's cool.
And I think Lorcan's probably the least interesting guy here, but he's still great in the ring, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And he had some pretty stiff exchanges with Theory, I remember.
His character stuff is super bland, but in ring, he's fun.
Right. There were some cool double team moves, and Dunn was really fast at times. From top to bottom, I really liked this. It came as a shock. I would never expect a bad match from these guys, but I think this really surprised me in a good way, because, this was
just the middle of a normal show.
Way better,
yeah.
Right? The middle of a show, just way better than I would have expected. And I thought this was it seemed like it was a flawless TV match. It was just great.
I was also a really big fan of this match. I thought it was excellent. As a guy taking notes on it, the second half of it was really hard to take notes because it was just nonstop.
I would imagine. I was this had me this held my attention.
Gargano and Dunn, like you're saying, I think they just have amazing chemistry. They know the other guy is so good that you can kind of do whatever you want and it's going to look great.
Which almost makes me wish Gargano's face more, because Dunn's such a great heel. Imagine a full-on feud between them, where Gargano's a face. That's one of my dream feuds now. I've decided now.
Yeah, this was excellent. I thought that between this already and the opening Cole Hayes match, that there's been 2 really entertaining matches on this show, which for a 2-hour wrestling program is pretty good. You're going to watch a main roster show and not get 1 sometimes, right? So we've already got 2 before we're done here. So yeah, this match was excellent. I would recommend it if you're a person who listens to us talk about things because you don't have time to watch them. This match is something I would probably go check out. Mm-hmm. We then get Frankie Monet, just a quick little hype video for her. I like that it's called her world premiere encore next, coming up. It's this idea that it has to be a little bit extra, right? It's got to be a little bit bigger. So this isn't her second appearance. It's her world premiere encore, which is funny to me.
Yeah.
The battery's up to 41% as we see another update on that. And then Kross and Scarlett walk to Regal's office backstage. They're met by Samoa Joe. Kross says that Joe can't attack him unless provoked, and Joe sort of reluctantly lets him go by. They walk by and they're opening a door to the outside as Joe turns around to see Pete Dunne staring at him. They just sort of stare at each other to end the segment, and please let this be foreshadowing. What did you think?
A Dunne versus Joe match is that's just...
Oh, I wish.
That's
almost mean if they're doing this and not delivering it for me.
That is kind of mean. That's just...
Because what am I supposed to think?
It would be so good. It would just be so great.
So I don't know, man. I don't know if they would do this kind of thing.
How can they do
where
this
else does that
and
go?
Not
right.
give us an eventual
Where else
match?
does that look go?
If that's Joe's return match, then that's
amazing.
just bananas.
That would be...
Oh, you know what would have been an amazing match? Heel Joe, Prime Heel Joe versus Babyface Gargano.
Joe in NXT versus Pete Dunne would be Fantastic. In NXT, and it's funny, you have to say NXT because the style they're allowed to work is a bit, especially if it's a takeover, right?
Right. Oh, yes.
So yeah, I don't know where that's going,
opener,
but
Joe versus Dunn.
If they bait and switch me, I'm going to be a little bit annoyed.
I'm going to be mad.
But anyways, we'll see. Elektra Lopez,
who's someone
the name you loved.
Yeah, that's just such a bad name. It's
not the best.
It's really bad.
So she's going to face Frankie Monet. So let's talk about this match. You had some comments as it was happening, and I didn't disagree with you. I didn't want to talk about it in the moment, but you said something, and I don't disagree with you. So Monet starts with a headlock early, slapping some taunting and posing by Monet because she's obviously just out of this woman's league and needs to let her know that. Body slam, elbow drops by Lopez, and she sort of does a dance at that point, which seems kind of ill-advised as somebody who's a nobody facing Frankie Monet, but that's okay. Kick, knee, and an STO by Frankie. Mounted strikes by Monet, then she tosses Lopez by the hair. Corner splash missed by Monet. Lopez gets another flurry in. Discus forearm and the glam slam by Frankie Monet for the win. Thoughts on this barn burner? Following that tag match, that's a tough spot to be in right there.
This is fine, but I still think Monet didn't look great.
No, and we like her.
I remember being so much better in Impact, and also following that tag match is not going to do you any favors.
No.
Just like I don't understand why she hasn't really looked great so far. Like,
I'm hoping it's because she's wrestling
really
green people.
That's what I'm hoping as well, because like
she looks slow.
I remember her being good. She does look
You said
slow.
She looked slow as we were watching it, and I don't want to agree with you.
I remember her being good.
I like her. She's Canadian. I think she's good, but
her. Like, I don't know what's happening. I really hope it's because of her opponents.
My note is I don't think this was very good. ... Something seemed off. Right? Monet looks slow. I agree with Jack is my note. Hopefully it's her working with inexperienced talent because she's better. She was better than this. I want to say she is better than this because I can't believe she just went off a cliff talent-wise, right?
There's like...
So I don't know.
Does signing with WWE make you crap?
This is what I mean. They need to get her in a program with somebody a notch above what she's been in. I need to see her with somebody better and hopefully pulling off a better match. This was a low point for me of this in ring for sure. Like the women's tag match wasn't amazing. This was worse than that. I thought this was disappointing. And we talk about liking Frankie Monet every week, but in ring there's something going on I'm not thrilled with. But anyways, Mackenzie is then with Bronson Reed. She asks him about Escobar's comments last week about the North American title. Reed says he doesn't understand what he needs to do to put Escobar in his place. He lists all the things he could do to take out Santos when Hit Row come in.
Yeah.
Top Dollar stares down Reed and insults him.
Yeah, he's like, you ain't even from North America, homie.
Right. And he's...
Which I thought was funny.
And the thing I noticed, he's bigger than Bronson Reed.
He is. He's a very tall person.
He's a big dude. Adonis says, and he calls them Never Rise, are going to get a crash course next, and B-Fab adds with no seat belts. I thought this was cool. It's kind of like...
I just like, because this is like kind of confirmation for me that Scott or Swerve is a prominent contender in this division.
And I feel like my simile I used is like it's sharks circling around Reed, right? And they're just
waiting for the opportunity.
They're getting closer and closer, and he's going to strike at some point, and he's just kind of letting them know that we're here.
We're here.
And we're coming. And so I thought this was
Be
cool.
ready.
Swerve's going to get his chance at some point. So I like this. It was their stuff's really quick. They're not getting overexposed. They're not on too much. They're not on for too long when they are on. And I think they're pretty much nailing every segment.
Yeah.
My least favorite thing they did was, I think, in ring coming up. So we'll talk about it. Earlier today, Everrise snuck up to spray paint Hit Row's vehicle. The window rolls down. So they're putting on ski masks, right? Or balaclavas or whatever they are.
Yeah.
But they're also wearing Everrise t-shirts. So they're about to spray paint the vehicle. Top Dollar's in the driver's seat. He rolls down the window.
He's basically like,
you hear Everrise say,
no point in wearing masks.
You think he knows it's us? And so his response is, ski masks don't work when your names are on your shirt. And then Everrise just run away.
Yeah, that was funny.
This was just stupid comedy that was really quick and pretty funny. And Top Dollar gets to look kind of cool. It kind of reminds me, it's too bad because they just got released, but Everrise was starting to give me some of the Breezango when they were funny vibe.
Oh my god, Breezango used to be so funny.
Like the Fashion Police kind of vibe, where I know it's stupid comedy, but it's done well, and it's just a little bit of it in a 2-hour show, so I'm fine with it.
Breezango used to be funny.
It's too bad that Everrise is gone, but they are. So we get Hit Row versus Everrise. I don't know.
Hit Rise versus Everrise.
I was looking at... Anyways. So this turns out to be a loser leaves town match as well, right? Technically. So Hit Row, who are Hot Row in my notes for some reason, versus Everrise. And I just...
Pretty hot right now.
My first note is, man, Hit Row are a cool act. They are.
They are. Their entrance is good.
Top Dollar flattens Everrise right away. Adonis throws his turtleneck that he wore in the ring into Chase Parker's face.
He's the short-haired dude, right?
Yes, that's right. Dollar runs over Martel, the long-haired dude, with a shoulder tackle, knocks Parker off the apron. Dude. Dollar then punches Martel. Adonis hits a nice drop kick on Parker. Dollar's back in. Martel tags in. Everrise send Dollar over the top to the floor. It's really awkward to say Dollar this many times. He punches Parker, throws him into the barricade.
That was just a nickname, you know?
Top Dollar splashes Martel and Adonis, hits a super kick. Martel and Adonis hits a super kick. Dollar and Adonis hit a double team power bomb neck breaker for the pinfall. They
killed Martel.
And yeah, Martel took that finisher really high on his neck. It looked really bad. What did you think of the match?
I think the match was okay. It was effective squash, at least. I can't necessarily say it was good. Not much else to say other than they killed Martel in the finish.
They did. So yeah, it was just a squash match. Sasquatch match. Squash match, kind of what it needed to be, I think. I do love Everrise, but I'm still glad they really didn't get any offense in here. Hit Row looked good. I didn't think they looked great. It's a logical step, right, in their journey up the card, I think. And I don't think there's any rush. I think they should take their time with these guys other than Swerve. Swerve's ready.
Swerve is ready.
But we haven't even seen B-Fab in action yet.
I don't know. Well, she could be. I think she should.
And
I think if these guys improve, they'll be a good tag team.
I think so too. But I think this, just have them keep taking wins against lesser teams for now and let them sort of develop.
Just kind of bide their time, yeah.
And don't push them too quickly. But Swerve's ready to go. So let's get him
ready,
rolling.
Yeah.
Mackenzie talks to Mercedes about a mixed tag match against Boa and Xia Li. Mercedes is surprised at first and may have trouble finding a partner. But even if she has to fight alone, she will. Xia Li attacks her. She's held back by security kind of quickly. Jake Atlas somehow walks up
randomly
and says that he'll join the fight. So I guess we're going to get a Mercedes Martinez and Jake Atlas.
The only reason I could think of that
Xia and Boa.
That Atlas and Martinez would team together is I guess it's Pride Month, right?
Yeah, that's true. That would make sense. But they're not making that connection for us at all.
No.
So they're trying to find things
that was just the connection I made.
They're trying to find things for Atlas to do, it feels like, right? And this is something they add him to a mid-card feud, which is fine.
It's so random, though.
It is. I'm interested in finally seeing Boa in the ring. That's actually what I'm most curious about, right? Has this guy developed and gotten any better?
Right. He was in that breakout tournament. I literally don't remember anything about him.
And I think he looks cool. So I'm hoping that he's just been training his butt off and turns out to be really good. So that's kind of what I'm most interested in seeing here. Because yes, the Atlas Martinez thing seems kind of random at this point, but I guess we'll see where it goes.
Right.
We get a Kyle O'Reilly vignette, and he just quickly puts over Kushida and their upcoming match tonight. Nothing really exciting there. And battery update, it's up to 51%. So at that rate, we should get what? We should figure out who this is in a couple weeks, maybe, if it keeps charging at the rate it's charging. Slow charger, man. They need to get a quicker charger. If my device was taking this long to charge, I'd be furious. Right. It's taking weeks and weeks. It's something huge.
I know.
So next week they let us know there's a bit of a rundown here. We're gonna get the
and it's only charging on Tuesdays,
Yeah, that's right. If they pause it till then, we're gonna get the Atlas Martinez Xia Li Boa match next week. We're gonna get a face-to-face between Ciampa, Thatcher, and MSK, and we're gonna get.
Oh wait, that's a promo segment with MSK.
Better be mostly Ciampa and Thatcher. No offense, MSK, love you, but talking's not your strength. Triple threat number one contenders match. Stark and Shirai are suddenly thrown into a number one contenders match. Gonzalez, Kai, and Blackheart Moon. Okay. So that could be a fun match. We'll see.
Yeah, as long as Shotzi and Ember don't... Shotzi doesn't wrestle too much. Ember's actually good in the ring.
Yep,
I like
she
her
is.
In the ring.
So next we get a non-title match. Kyle O'Reilly chose his opponent, and it is Kushida.
Champion Kushida.
So there's extensive holds and counters to start, not in a bad way. I'm just not going to summarize them. A, there's a lot, and B, I don't know some of the holds because I'm not an MMA grappling dude.
Can I cover the aftermath?
Sure.
Yes.
I don't even remember what the aftermath was, but you can cover it.
That's disrespectful.
We'll get there. Kyle catches the handspring back elbow that Kushida always delivers. He catches it into an armbar. The idea being that I think these guys have a lot of...
I think at the beginning there's a little too much technical wrestling for my taste, but...
Yeah, it starts out... It gets close to that for me as well. Mm-hmm. Handspring drop kick by Kushida. Kushida obviously is targeting Kyle's left arm as he always does in every match. Not that I'm complaining, it just makes sense, and Kushida does it always. Another stretch sort of in the middle of no advantage until they crack heads heading into a commercial. We get a jumping knee by O'Reilly, a judo flip, and a body scissor. Clothesline by Kushida, atomic drop, arm drag right into an arm bar by Kushida. The way that these guys can link things together is what I really like. More counters and escapes until a big kick to O'Reilly's arm. High knee and a suplex into a bridging pin, but Kyle gets a foot on the ropes. Strikes and a heel hook countered with a bridging near fall by Kushida. Rebound clothesline by O'Reilly. Brainbuster by O'Reilly for a 2 count. Kyle goes up top. Kushida handstand kicks him down and runs O'Reilly arm first into the corner. Kick exchange out on the apron. A wrist lock suplex on the apron by Kushida. That was pretty cool.
Suplex.
Yeah, that was cool. Running kick to the arm, but a knee and a kick by O'Reilly before a sudden... What does that even mean, my note? A sudden palm strike by Kushida.
What did you write?
Pal strike.
Oh.
Like, hey, pal.
hey, pal. Just a pat on the shoulder.
But no, it was a palm strike by Kushida. Hoverboard, but O'Reilly...
That makes a little more sense.
O'Reilly puts his hands in his tights to sort of block the hoverboard lock. I don't know if you remember that.
Which I think was kind of a clever...
It was just unique, right? I haven't seen it before.
They did kind of tell you that it's like to kind of reduce pressure, which I think is smart.
Hoverboard, again, countered into a roll-up, and Kyle O'Reilly gets the win.
I think it's a victory roll is what it's called,
yes.
I believe.
So you want to talk... We can talk about the match first, and then I'll give you the aftermath.
This is a good match. A little too heavy on technical wrestling for my taste, like I said, but got better as it picked up. I thought this was pretty good. Oddly enough, I liked the tag match earlier better, but this was still great.
I thought it was a really good match. Picked up as well, I thought, after the holds and counters to start. It built nicely. There were some really cool counters from each man. This idea that they're A, technically skilled, and B, have faced each other before. O'Reilly can't really lose here, right? Obviously. That's my only complaint. This doesn't help the cruiserweight division because the champion just lost clean to a guy who would rather compete for like a better belt kind of thing, right? So that's not the greatest message for the cruiserweight division, but they could also go back to this later, right? If they really are focusing on cruiserweight stuff, this could be something that's filed away and referred to again in the summer. Maybe this could be
O'Reilly's claim to a title shot if he ever wants
Maybe he gets a title run for the main belt, isn't successful, and then can sort of transition to this. But anyways, really good match, I thought. Good main event. I don't know if it was my favorite match on the show.
No, mine was the tag match.
I think so too, but between...
I just really liked it.
This, the Cole match, and the tag match, that's 3 good matches.
No, these were 3 great matches. Yeah.
All right, we'll talk about the aftermath. Go ahead.
So... Adam Cole, kind of like as O'Reilly and Kushida are kind of staring off. He attacks.
They're doing
O'Reilly.
their respect thing, right?
They kind of brawl over the announce table and kind of brawl away. And then Kushida's attacked by a mystery man, which is revealed to be Roderick Strong, who has a buzz cut now.
Yep, so he's back.
And Tyler Rust. Yeah.
Jack is the biggest Tyler Rust fan ever.
I am. Yes, Tyler Rust. Woo.
And
Malcolm Bivens is manager as well, and a new Japanese guy, I think.
Yep.
And they're Diamond Mine.
They are Diamond Mine.
Tyler Rust. Woo!
So,
yeah.
I kind of like this faction because...
I do like this faction.
I like Rust. Roddy's amazing in the ring, but a mouthpiece for both of them I think is a good idea.
Which is Bivens. He's good, right?
I don't know much about Suzuki, but if his English...
his name is Hideki Suzuki.
If his English isn't super strong, a mouthpiece for him is smart too. So apparently this is a faction that's going to be involved in cruiserweight stuff. And like we were saying in the news, this was planned before even Strong took his hiatus sort of thing. So this was always kind of the plan, they're saying.
And I heard Suzuki, I think he's like a coach or trainer or something. Nice. I think he's a wrestler too.
I'm sure he'll be a skilled fellow if they're putting him in with these guys, because the idea is I think they're all... so it's nice to see Russ back. It's nice to see Strong back.
Agree.
I like factions. I like a nice surprise. I also think Malcolm Bivens had been underused to this point. I think he's a really good manager, so I kind of like this. I thought this was a cool end to the show, and giving these guys their debut as like the main event segment makes them feel kind of important, right? It's sort of sending the message like we're going to put something behind this group probably, which is good. They don't scream main event to me, but they could be a sweet sort of mid-card heel faction, which I love. That's like my wheelhouse is mid-card heel stuff. So I really like this. Like I said, I think these guys need a mouthpiece, and Bivens gives them that.
I just realized, what if Bivens was foreshadowing Diamond Miner? Remember Diamond in the Rust?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, right? Because he'd been saying that. Diamond in the Rust. Rust and Roddy are really good in the ring. I assume Suzuki will be too. I like the decision to reveal the group, but nothing else. There was no promo, no anything, right? It's like, here's the group. We can talk about it next week or whatever. So I look forward to more details about this group, right? And I think that's kind of the point of debuting them here with very minimal information, so we can come back to it later. I thought a cool end of the show. I think you liked it too, right?
So yeah, now looking back on the Dynamite vignettes, they were so vague, but that was smart. 'Cause, like, I had no idea this is what it was going to be, right? Like,
and then it's more of a surprise at the end, right? Yeah.
It was a cool surprise. I'm very happy to see Roddy back, and I could not be happier to see Tyler Rust back, because I was curious why he was not here for a while. So he's back. Woo!
Yeah.
So the new guy is Hideki Suzuki. He just stood there, but he'll be interesting, I hope.
I like new talent, so.
Like, Japanese wrestlers are usually pretty good. I assume he's Japanese.
If they're good enough to get to WWE, they're usually pretty good. Yeah.
Malcolm Bivens sticking with Rust, and he's a great choice for a manager here. And if the Diamond in the Rust line is was foreshadowing Diamond Mine, then that's AEW level big brain right there. Like, this is a super interesting faction. Even if it's just strong, it's like he's the leader, and he's like, even if it's like a. Like, he's leading, but he's in the cruiserweight division. Yeah. That's how Bullet Club started, actually, because Devitt was junior heavyweight when he started. So, I don't think it really matters what division. I'm really interested in this. I hope Rust gets some title.
It's always nice in wrestling when the payoff is worth it, right? Because the Diamond Mine...
Because I could not have cared less, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, the vignettes were kind of like, they're fine, but we're not learning anything new, so...
And now I got Tyler Rust, so...
Yeah, it's almost better that they didn't keep revealing more, right? Because this came as a surprise.
Yeah,
it's going to be interesting to see. They're giving Roddy a chance, it looks like, at being the head of a faction,
which is
basically.
Weird. It's funny, he's like, it's his... The faction he was a part of is done. Let's give him his own faction.
Which, not to be rude, but that's what sort of gives me the idea that it's not main event and maybe mostly
Roddy, as great as Roddy is, he's never been the best. I'm hoping this either Bivens does most of the talking, or this helps him develop that. You know what I mean?
Maybe they're gonna bring a cruiserweight tag team championship in.
But
I doubt it.
Is Suzuki? Yeah. Is Rust? I'll take as long as Rust gets something.
Yeah. So that's cool. I'm really hoping these guys get some attention because I think this is interesting. Overall thoughts on this episode, sir?
So overall, I thought this was a good show. Opener was awesome, and Hayes looked amazing. Cole was good as well, and helped Hayes look good. I think Hayes is a future champion, whether it's mid card or cruiserweight.
Yeah, I like him a lot.
Little segment with Monet and Robert Stonebrand was just okay. Monet is clearly above them, so I hope this is all that comes of this.
Is she?
Well,
I know what you mean.
Star power,
we're still saying she's good,
right? As
star power. You're
based on what I know, and I would probably rather watch that squash of her than Robert Stonebrand.
We're gonna give Frankie Monet more chances.
I will, for sure. Yes. Stark's interview was fine, but kind of confused me with the Io Shirai team player thing. And LA Knight's segment wasn't bad, but run of the mill in my opinion. Just recap and LA Knight phrases.
Yeah, it was. I thought same thing. I watched it, but it wasn't exciting.
The way segment with Dunn was good and set up a good match. Adam Cole had a good bit with Regal, and Gargano always is pretty amusing when he's complaining to Regal about something stupid.
Do prefer this version of the way right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The women's tag match was and I find Robert Stonebrand kind of suck. The aftermath was good, other than when Shotzi and Ember chose to speak. Don and Lorcan versus The Way, however, was much, much better.
Awesome.
This match was enjoyable from top to bottom. Gargano and Dunn have great chemistry, and Theory's really coming into his own as a competitor. I thought he's gotten much better.
Yep.
And Lorcan is good in the ring, but less so outside of it. But obviously this was just a match, so he was great as well.
Yep.
Match could be on TakeOver if they wanted, and it's probably my favorite NXT TV match in a little while. I think
it was good. It was
not
really
much
fun.
Has come close in recent memory. Monet's encore match was fine, I guess. But she looked better in her in-ring debut, a little better. But I find she hasn't really shown what I've seen of her in Impact yet in either match. I hope it's because of lack of a quality opponents, like you said. She might just need someone better to face, which I hope is the case. I like Reed's interaction with Hit Row as a reminder and affirmation that Swerve is in contention in the North American division. Hit Row versus Everrise was good enough for squash, I guess.
Yep.
Nothing more. Martinez teaming up with Jake Atlas next week is lame.
Out of the blue.
And out of the blue. If they win, I hope it'll be by Martinez. Although I could see Jake Atlas getting the win just because it's Boa.
Yep, that's true.
Main event was good, but I feel like it could have gone a little better. But it was still pretty good. I liked it. The aftermath was awesome, though. I think Cole and O'Reilly's little brawl was fine, but it was just to get them out of the picture so Diamond Mine could come in.
Yeah, that's right.
I did not expect this to be how Roddy was brought back, so we all figured he would come back in some capacity, but this seems really cool. It could possibly rejuvenate him, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
And I could not be happier to see Tyler Russ back. I was kind of frustrated over him being absent because I remember the match with Ciampa. That was just awesome. And then he got, I think, one match after that. He lost to Bronson Reed.
Yep.
Like, not much.
Tyler Russ was sort of my, like, even though I knew him from before, it kind of felt like Carmelo Hayes, right? Like, he came out of nowhere and he had some really good matches right off the bat.
If Roddy still isn't great on the mic, I don't think that will be an issue with Malcolm Bivens.
Exactly.
Seemingly going to be the faction's mouthpiece and manager. As I don't think Russ speaks much either, and Hideki Suzuki is the only one I know nothing about, but he would be cool. And I think he was a coach or something, but also a wrestler.
Yep.
So I'm interested to see what he does. And if he's like Kushida or EO, like he'll probably be, like he'll know English, but not like be
right. And
fully
if he
immersed.
trains,
so I think Bivens would be smart.
If he trains people, he's probably pretty good in the ring.
Right. And
like
I
Deeb
think,
used to train for them,
and
right?
you could use the training part as like part of the gimmick if you wanted to, I feel like.
Yep. Especially because the Diamond Mine vignettes were all like training, right?
Diamond Mine seems super cool. I'm very excited to see what's next for them. I hope they're on next week's show. But I don't see how they can't be.
I think they will be. Maybe even start the show next week to sort of explain, right?
Overall, the show was good with some good segments and 3 matches I really enjoyed. I feel like the 2 women's matches kind of brought the show down a bit. I think it keeps the show just short of the A- grade for me. So I'm going to give it a B+. I feel like if there were some better, like if the tag match and Monet was better.
That's funny you say that.
Then I feel like
wait till you hear mine.
This would have been an A- show for me because I think the 3 matches that I liked were really good.
Yes.
So overall, a good show though.
It's funny your overall rating. Wait till I get to that. Might sound familiar. Really like the Cole Hayes match. The Way Done Lorcan match was awesome. And the main event was really good. So 3 strong matches on one show is pretty amazing.
Right. With only a 2-hour span, like that's pretty good.
The women's tag and Hit Row were fine, and I thought the Monet match was less than fine, was my low point in ring.
That mine might have been the tag match, I'm not sure.
Cole's segment to start was effective. The Regal Joe stuff is there, but it's not taking over the show, which I like. I was worried about, I don't want too much authority figure stuff.
They sprinkled it in. I think
that's
it's
exactly what
use,
I have
right?
sprinkled in effectively.
It's an appropriate use. I feel like
the LA Knight stuff I think has potential, and nothing else on the show was like offensive, and everything was at least fine. I thought this was a really fun show that went by quickly. I'm giving it a B plus as well, and here was why. It's funny you just said it. Very close to an A- if any of the lesser matches were just a bit better.
Right.
So if the Monet match was
even... If the stuff
I
didn't like was better, then I feel like I could have justified an A-.
Just needed one of those other matches to sort of be a little bit better, but still a really entertaining show. I was really happy.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how Dynamite will stack up against this.
So B pluses for both of us. I honestly think that, I mean, without going back and looking, I feel like since it's moved to Friday, I've liked NXT better kind of consistently. I almost feel like AEW's like...
just biding their time almost?
Yes, our viewership is way down.
I think they've still been good, but I agree. They're kind of just like, they know it's like
they're
not
down like
as
a quarter of a million viewers.
Right, so they're just kind of like buying, which I can understand that, and
although,
I agree, NXT's been pretty good.
I have heard I forget what they're called, like the plus whatever, which means like the people that are recording it and watching it, or recording it. I guess you don't really know if they watched it, but that their numbers are close to their Wednesday. So if you add like people actually watching it, plus the people that are recording it and probably watching it later, kind of like we do. We start a bit later, but we'll start like half an hour
We're basically
into it.
Watching it live.
Yeah. So that if you factor in all those numbers, they're kind of close, but still, I feel like NXT's just in a groove right now. I'm quite liking it.
Yeah, it's good because I feel like at the beginning of our podcast, they were in the opposite scenario.
Yep.
And then they were kind of on and off. I feel like they've been in a pretty good stretch, more or less.
Yep, I've enjoyed it. All right, well, that ends our NXT talk, so let's move into some trivia and off the top of his head.
Tyler Rust. Woo.
So it was a tough week this week, work-wise and just vaccination-wise, so I kept it simple and went back to the WWE trivia deck. So it's basically general WWE knowledge.
I will crush you.
You would crush me. I can't remember how many I got right, but it wasn't a ton. I think there's a couple you're not going to know because there's a couple really hard ones. So you ready?
I will annihilate this.
Easy one. Who was Shawn Michaels' first manager in WWE?
Sensational Sherry.
Correct. This one I knew. She was amazing, dude. Honestly, as a heel manager, amazing.
She was a wrestler, right?
She was
Early women's division.
By the time she got to WWE, she didn't wrestle much, I don't think.
I know she did a bit. She was like in the early women's division.
Who was featured, good luck, on the cover of the very first WWE magazine?
Hulk Hogan.
Nope.
Undertaker.
That was my guess, too.
Undertaker.
Nope.
Shawn Michaels.
No, that's way
Bret
too...
Hart.
It's much older than that. Well, not much older.
Ultimate Warrior.
Think of... Man, Mick Foley, young Mick Foley was at a match with this guy where he jumped off the top of a cage.
Undertaker.
No, Jimmy Snuka.
Ah.
Jimmy Superfly Snuka. And I don't like, because WWE produced this deck of trivia, so obviously they have to change it to WWE Magazine, which it wasn't back then. So I think that makes the question harder, because it wouldn't have been the WWE Magazine, right?
It would have been WWE.
Right, but they can't do that, so... They have to sort of revise it all. It's interesting.
You should do WWE and then F in brackets.
Right. You'll know this one. Who became the ECW World Champion and WWE Champion at the same time?
Rob Van Dam.
Correct.
Robert Van Dam.
At one point, my favorite wrestler of all. At one point.
Robert Van Dam.
Whom... I like how grammatically correct these questions are in the WWE. They have some good editors.
Oh, we played a Kahoot yesterday. The grammar, oh my god, the spelling, caption America, like it was so bad.
Whom did Roddy Piper share the WWE Tag Team Championship with in 2006?
Ric Flair.
Totally forgot this. This is not one I got. Yes, Ric Flair's correct.
I think they beat the Spirit Squad.
If you don't know this one, you're gonna have to leave probably. Whom did Roman Reigns beat to win his first WWE Heavyweight Championship?
Dean Ambrose.
Who's that? I don't know who that is.
Awesome.
Jonathan Moxley?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jonathan Moxley.
What was the only singles championship, this one I knew, Roddy Piper held in WWE?
Intercontinental title.
Which is a bit surprising, right?
Yeah, he beat Mountie.
But it's one of those, like,
Lost to
I know
Bret
you're
Hart.
not a sports fan, but it's one of those, like, you played in the Jordan era, guess what? You didn't win championships. You wrestled in the Hogan era, you don't win championships.
Right, and he didn't want to lose to Hogan, I think it was, right? Or whatever.
Which former natural disaster returned to WWE under a mask as Golga? I remember you asked me this once.
Earthquake.
Correct.
John Tenta.
John Tenta. R.I.P. John Tenta, I assume? I would assume. Who currently holds the record for the fastest win? Now, I think this deck was 2019, so fastest win in WrestleMania history.
Rock.
Why would you know that?
It was WrestleMania 32, first Mania, baby.
Hey, man, next question. At which WrestleMania did it occur?
WrestleMania 32.
Yes.
That was my first Mania.
What was the match?
Versus Eric Rowan. I don't remember, because...
Sorry, that just... Eric Rowan versus The Rock at WrestleMania is freaking hilarious to me. I forgot it happened.
The Rock came, remember, he put a flamethrower on his name, and, like, the Wyatt family interrupted, and he had, like, the world's most impromptu match, and then they were going to attack him after, and then John Cena came out, because he was injured at the time.
I don't remember any of this.
And then they basically just beat up the Wyatt family.
How many years ago was this?
2016.
I don't remember any of that.
And then there was the one part in the show, remember the League of Nations lost to the New Day, who had the big Bootios entrance?
Right.
And they got beat up by Michaels, Austin, and Mick Foley.
There you go.
And then they were dancing.
This one I think is easy. I mean, because I don't think there's any other possible answer. Sable defeated which McMahon at Vengeance 2003?
Stephanie.
Right? Like
Shane
Vince?
McMahon.
Vince?
Linda? Hornswoggle McMahon?
Linda. It was Stephanie.
Linda McMahon.
So this one I would have known, but they needed to add a detail for me. Who answered and won an open challenge for Umaga's Intercontinental Championship in 2007?
Santino Marella Doi.
Correct. I needed the part that it was overseas somewhere, right?
Italy.
It was in Italy. If they had said that, I would have known, because I remember that. I was like, who's this guy? And then he actually won, which was shocking.
Because I don't think Umaga's done an open challenge in another.
Who was the self-proclaimed great American who defeated Eddie Guerrero for the WWE Championship in 2004?
JBL.
Yes, which JBL was a character
Which I would know because Eddie Guerrero only had one WWE title run.
Right. At first, I thought JBL's character, I'm like, you're really gonna take this kind of
Bradshaw
tag team dude, but he actually turned out to be a really good heel champion. Golga and Kurgan going back to that.
You don't get that long of a run without.
No.
Right.
Right. I know he was a jerk and a bully backstage and stuff.
Yeah,
but
he bullied Maronella. It's not cool, dude.
Golga and Kurgan were part of a bizarre group known as what?
The Oddities.
Correct. This one's super legendary. I think you know it. What did Roddy Piper smash over Jimmy Snuka's head on Piper's Pit?
Potted plant?
No. This is like an iconic thing. This one I knew and you didn't. Ha ha ha. I am so smart.
I don't know.
A coconut.
Oh,
That's like
I
a
had no
super
idea.
legendary moment.
Sure.
Which two Hall of Famers were known as the APA? There's a hard one.
Farouk and Bradshaw.
And then I added this one. What did APA stand for?
Acolytes Protection Agency.
Right, and why? Do you know where that stemmed from?
Because they were the acolytes in
Which is what?
ministry.
There you go. Okay. Oh, hey, easy. I'm just
The doy.
I'm just drilling down into it to see what you knew.
I know it all.
Last one that you're not gonna know because how could you? Well, I shouldn't say that, but probably don't know. I had no idea. Who was the first tag team inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 1996? My guess was Demolition. It is not.
Road Warriors?
No. It's brothers. I'll give you that hint. That still wouldn't have helped me.
Bushwhackers?
No, they're not brothers. They're cousins.
I don't know.
Cousin Luke and Cousin Butch. My goodness, it's like you don't know anything
no, it was
about wrestling.
Bushwhacker Luke and Bushwhacker Butch.
They're cousins.
Brothers.
Brothers.
Briscoe Brothers.
No, kind of like maybe that era. It's not an era I even saw them wrestle.
Funk Brothers?
So good luck. No, the Valiant Brothers. I don't know. I just thought I'd end on an impossible one.
That's not. You're not nice.
So that's going to bring us to the end of the trivia section, and we have to jump over AE Dynamite because it doesn't exist at this point.
You did the AE Dynamite again.
Did I?
You just
I don't think
did.
I did.
You did.
I'm going to listen back. I'm going to make a note and see because I don't think I
did.
did. We'll see. We're going to move right into any other wrestling business. Do you want me to start with Impact? Do you want to? Yeah. I wouldn't mind a break. Why don't you do your match?
Oh, right, because there's no Dynamite.
Because I just talk nonstop.
Yeah, that's right.
No one wants to hear me
so
talk.
So I
this long.
specifically chose this for a very specific reason.
Gross.
Pro Wrestling Rewind 18. Shawn Michaels versus Hulk Hogan. SummerSlam 2005. If you know, you know.
I did do a bit of background on
go
this.
for it.
So why did this happen? What we're going to talk about.
So I know that they had a tag match, right? And then Michaels turned heel.
Against Hassan and Daivari?
Yeah, Muhammad Hassan was
Yes.
it? And then like John Daivari or whatever, like Daivari.
Yeah. So they basically agreed to work with each other. Michaels pitched for them to have.
Keep in mind, Hogan's like old.
So there's varying stories here. Yeah, Michaels is 39, I think 40 when the match happens, and Hogan's like 52. So Michaels is back from, this is like the good Shawn Michaels where he's cleaned up his act and he's a whatever born again Christian. So apparently,
which makes this odd.
Like all of the shenanigans he used to do are supposedly beyond him at this point. So there's varying reports. There's reports that
it's one of these, like, it depends on who you believe.
Right.
I guess.
HBK pitched for 3 matches, which would have them split the first 2, culminate in a cage match where he was willing to lose to Hogan in the 3rd match. There's other reports saying there was talk of doing 2 matches, but Hogan would only do 2 if he won both, because at this point he has creative control in his contract, which is kind of funny because HBK was always the guy, like, refusing to put people over, like leaving the company when he doesn't. Oh, he lost his smile, right? And he's gone because
like
he doesn't want to.
vacating the title because he didn't want to lose the IC title to Dean Douglas.
Right. So now he's been out of shape because somebody else has.
Or like I remember Undertaker. I think I heard like he threatened to beat Michaels up if he didn't drop the belt to Stone Cold.
Right.
Because like that was classic Michaels at the time,
and
right?
Undertaker was sort of the backstage enforcer,
right? So he's like, you better do it, right? Because that was classic Michaels, right?
So it's kind of funny how upset Michaels gets about this because he's done it to people many, many times. So the idea was to exchange wins with each other, starting with SummerSlam before Hogan would get a decisive victory. Again, depending on which version of the story.
Which I feel that makes sense.
And Michaels is saying it was meant to be good guy versus good guy, and it was going to be like who's the premise of the feud being
Just
that
like,
Michaels finding out if he could defeat the
which
immortal
I did
Hogan.
kind of get from like the handshake afterwards.
Right.
Match.
But then apparently Hogan didn't want to do that. He wanted Michaels as a heel.
Which I do, like, whether that's true or not, that makes sense. Because, like, Hogan's, like, he's old school. Like, it was always him versus a bad guy, right? Other than Warrior, I guess.
Yep.
Like, even Savage turned heel to face him, right?
Right.
Like, so that makes sense to me.
Hogan got his way, obviously. Michaels did turn heel before the SummerSlam match and then flipped right back the night after this match, which I can talk about at the end if you want. So during the match, Michaels basically did what he did, which we'll talk about, because he was furious with Hogan for changing plans, and he's basically a child who didn't get his way for like the first time. So entitled child not getting what he wants, threw a little hissy fit in the middle of the store they're in. Mommy wouldn't buy him the toy he wanted, so he had a little temper tantrum on live TV, which I think is obviously not super classy. But Hogan sort of, his quote I have here is, of course, Hogan is going to say it's not his fault, brother. Basically, if you really go behind the scenes on the Shawn Michaels thing, I just sat back. I mean, this is Vince's show, Vince's thing. And when he went to the dressing room, Vince came in and said, okay, I want Hogan to go over. No big deal. So his thing was, oh, no, I was willing to do I was willing to do whatever they wanted.
That doesn't really sound like Hogan.
Of course not. No offense. I'm gonna say it. He lies a lot about a lot of things. It's pretty well documented. So I don't believe this for a second. But anyways, and that is basically the background to this.
Michaels wildly oversells anything Hogan does.
Yes. So it's
pretty fun.
I thought that my note was not overselling in the first couple minutes. Like it started out kind of normal.
So like the match starts with a collar and elbow tap, and Michaels gets shot. He even that I felt like he oversold, like not as much as other stuff, but like a little bit.
Yep.
So that happens like a second time. Then Michaels gets a headlock, which Hogan counters into a headlock of his own. A shoulder tackle by Hogan, and Michaels oversells and goes out of the ring fine, which I thought was pretty funny.
Like he'll hit the floor, stand back up, and then like do more
flop on the ground again.
It's ridiculous.
It's pretty funny.
Yes.
Knee to the gut by Michaels, some corner chops. Michaels gets sent in the corner, and so he's draped over the corner, and Hogan's like kicking him in the midsection, and he's just bouncing up and down, and to the point where like on the last one, he gets crotched on the ropes.
And commentary didn't know what to do. JR basically seems to ignore it, but King at one point, I wrote it down, he literally says, quote, I think Shawn Michaels' psychology is a little off tonight.
You think?
Which he's trying to like, that's a little bit, as we say, inside baseball, right? Like psychology is not a thing that the average wrestling fan who's not like kind of nerdy like us is gonna even pick up on. But King just couldn't deny this looks ridiculous. I have to say something.
This was funny, the funniest one, because like it's just like you're just like bouncing up and down to the point where like you guys, it's just so ridiculous.
And it's a 52-year-old man, right? And Michaels is selling it like this is the Incredible Hulk hitting him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Marvel reference.
Nice.
Punch by Hogan. Eye thumb by Michaels to take control. Chop by Michaels. Back body drop and a clothesline over the top rope by Hogan. Another great oversell by Michaels.
That one was really bad. That was a super exaggerated one.
It was like he goes over the rope and then he just like kind of flops over again. It's pretty funny. Michaels gets slingshot back in by Hogan. Like they're kind of both grabbing the rope, and Hogan like pulls the rope in, and then Michaels does a big somersault on his back into the ring. Clothesline by Hogan, punches by Hogan, an up kick by Michaels. You know, like they go for the back body drop, and then they get kicked in the head.
Classic mistake, always made.
Corner chops by Michaels. Hogan blocks Michaels' attempt to send him in the turnbuckle. Slaps and chops by Michaels. Hogan says Michaels in the corner, who does his like classic flip over in the corner.
Yes.
But like it was even, I think,
exaggerated,
more exaggerated. Like, because he's always done that's like classic Michaels, but
I don't know if he'd necessarily do it off that action. You know what I mean? I don't know, but yes, definitely exaggerated.
Michaels gets bounced off the barricade and body slammed on the announce table, where Hogan rains down punches. Hogan sends Michaels into the post, a big oversell. I don't even think I need to say at this point, but Hogan picks Michaels up and gets sent into the post twice. Punches by Michaels, corner punches by Michaels. Hogan shoves him off, and Michaels goes again with the corner punches. You know, where the crowd counts.
Yep.
Is again shoved off. He basically just goes with punches until Hogan is busted open.
Oh yeah, is he ever?
Yeah, like Ric Flair style or something. Punches by Michaels, and Hogan actually takes a back bump, sort of, because he just falls after a punch.
Mm-hmm.
Small one, but still, he's Hogan, so congratulate him, I guess.
Yeah.
Sleeper hold by Michaels, and he's just got blood all over his arm just from Hogan's head.
Oh, Hogan's bleeding like crazy here.
Yeah.
Which made me laugh, because if you look at him, it looks like he's been through a war, right? But combine that with his refusal to take any bumps of any consequence, like he hasn't really. So he's this bloody mess, but
he's just been punched.
It's been the most basic offense delivered to him because he's not willing to take or able to take anything else.
Right. So this is a very long sleeper hold. I think Hogan needed a rest from doing barely
100%.
nothing.
Yep.
So ref does the 3 count arm check, and Hogan stays in it on the 3rd, of course.
Thank goodness.
I was worried he was gonna lose.
Of course.
Thank God. Back suplex again by Hogan, so kind of taking voluntary back bump.
He did. He took like 2 or 3 bumps in this, I think.
Yeah.
Which is pretty standard for Hogan at this point.
I guess. Running flying forearm by Michaels, who also misses elbow drop. Punches by Hogan. Michaels hits another flying forearm, which also accidentally took out the ref. Sharpshooter by Michaels, which looks awful, but what do you expect with Hogan? No,
that's not Michaels' fault, right?
No, that is not Michaels' fault.
A 52-year-old man who's literally had a hip replacement like your grandfather, my father, has.
I don't think Hogan would have even taken a good sharpshooter like when Bret Hart was wrestling with him.
He never would have, but it's even worse here.
Right.
Really bad.
Just it's so bad. New ref is here. This is probably the worst sharpshooter I have ever seen.
Honestly,
and I watched Sting do one at Double or Nothing.
Honestly, to me, looked more uncomfortable for Michaels because he had to be hunched over because he couldn't actually stand up and bend Hogan back. So he's like... I'm like, oh, his lower back must hurt from that. Whereas Hogan's just lying on the mat with his legs up.
This is worse than any Cena STF. Like, you can rip on Cena's STF all you want, but that's like...
And it makes Michaels look dumb, but it's not his fault, right? Like, as much as I have problems with Michaels in this match, that's not one of them.
Hogan gets a rope break. Hogan pushes Michaels off another sharpshooter, and the ref is taken out again. There's
a bit of overbooking in this at times.
Low blow by Michaels, and he hits an awful headshot with a steel chair. Again, probably Hogan's fault.
A glancing blow.
Yeah.
Yep.
Elbow drop. It would make more sense if he was bleeding off of that, if I'm being honest. Elbow drop by Michaels. Michaels lines up sweet chin music and hits it for a near fall. And Hogan just starts...
Second referee at some point, right?
Right. The ref is back up. And Hogan is now getting up after just taking the guy's finisher.
Yep, fires up.
So Hogan hulks up.
Yes.
As Michaels' offense is no-sold, punches in the big boot, which... Well, Michaels, that's my favorite oversell. He goes down and he kind of does like a weird
Oh my
flop.
God,
that one's awesome.
Yeah, that was a big one at the end here.
I love that one so much. And then the leg drop by Hogan for the win. So this is awful. So awful. Just so bad. But I liked it in a way because I think Michaels is really funny. Just because when Hogan was on offense, because this is one of those times where Shawn Michaels was the equivalent of a petulant toddler.
Oh my God, yeah.
Michaels was in control more than I expected, but I like when Hogan was on offense just because Michaels made it great.
Yep.
Hogan took no real bumps. I didn't expect Michaels to be in control that much, but I did expect Hogan to not really take any bumps. And Michaels having to do the world's worst sharpshooter because Hogan has zero flexibility whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
This is awful, but I can't say I didn't expect that. Michaels overselling was the only entertaining thing, and the only reason I watched this, like you said, a little overbooked. I'll be a little generous because Michaels was funny, so D-.
Ooh.
D's nuts.
I actually was a little bit more generous than you. So... This is Hogan past his...
I would give it something in the D
It's
range.
a Hogan past his prime match, and even in his prime, he's not good.
And then next year, he beat young star Randy Orton, so that's even better.
I don't think there's any real need to watch this match in its entirety. It goes like 22 minutes. Just watch the couple minutes of highlights you can easily find.
Is overselling.
You'll get the gist of it. Michaels was as unprofessional and selfish as it gets here, I think. Even if Hogan is pulling the strings on this feud, it's not like Michaels was ever above politicking himself. At the end of the day, man, just do your job. Entertain the fans. He kind of made a mockery of this and put the commentary team in a tough spot along the way, I think. Not only is Hogan's offense boring, but basically his refusal to take any real bumps, and maybe it's refusal and medically he's not supposed to, kind of handcuffs Shawn Michaels as well. So I think he kind of did his best here.
Well, and I think he could just say it was medical and we would never really know.
And that might add to Michaels being annoyed, right? That he can't really do much against this guy. And again, it's funny because...
Which is odd because then he would want 3 matches of that?
No.
Like,
It's funny because with the blood, again, it looked like Hogan had been in a war, but in reality, Michaels hadn't done much to him at all.
other than punch him in the face, like, way too many times.
So this was just okay. It's a piece of wrestling history for certain reasons, obviously, but at the end of the day, it's a Hogan match. The real story is more interesting than the actual match. You get two massive egos in here, but one ego reigns supreme.
Right.
I can't.
It's the battle of the big egos. Which ego will reign supreme?
Right. I can't say I enjoyed this as someone,
Egomania runs wild.
somebody who's already seen it. So I gave it a C minus.
C minus.
So I went back and watched I thought Michaels like pulled a watchable match out of a like unwatchable situation.
That
kind
is
of,
true.
right? So
That's fair.
the next night on Raw, Michaels came out, the opening segment. I went back and watched it on the network. So he comes out in a suit and gives the most sarcastic.
Was it the Montreal promo?
I don't know. It was in a
'Cause
suit the night
Montreal
after.
one is before SummerSlam.
So it's him talking, basically saying so sarcastically, Hogan out wrestled him and outworked him, and that Hogan's just a catch as catch can, a superstar, like so advanced that it was stuff that Michaels just couldn't hang with, and that the leg drop is the most devastating thing, and there's no way he could kick out from it. And then basically he turns back. What was the line I told you? He said, we'll get back to our regularly scheduled programming, which meant like, I'm done being a heel for that brief little minute because Hogan forced me to, and now I'm back to being a babyface. So he basically sarcastically buried the entire match the very next night on television, which was kind of funny, so I went and watched that as well. But yeah, a little slice of WWE history. Nothing you need to see. Just go watch the highlights of Michaels flopping around like a fish out of water, basically,
Yes.
is all you need to see. All right, so let's talk about some Impact Wrestling. Like before, you said you have a couple other things for...
Yeah,
All right.
just Money in the Bank qualifier.
So Impact Wrestling this week. The show begins with a recap of the Callis, Scott D'Amore, Sami Callihan situation, where Tommy Dreamer was sort of in an anticlimactic thing, in my opinion. He was the surprise person sent by the board to reinstate Sami Callihan.
What board exactly?
The board of directors. You know, they
They
always
they
pretend
have
there's
one?
some
Right.
nebulous board that makes decisions. They're going to reinstate Callahan, fire Callis instead, so that's where we stand heading into this. So Kenny and Callis and now enter the building, but they have to come, I think the idea is they have to come through a different entrance because they're no longer, he's no longer an executive VP, right? So he's just got to come in the entrance
he
like regular
actually?
folk. Is he? I heard before this he'd been stripped of that title, but I don't know if that's, I'd have to go look it up. Callis tells Kenny they shouldn't have to take this jobber entrance to get in. There's an employee there. He's telling Callis he's not on the list anymore and he can't come in at all. Callis obviously gets upset, screams his credentials in the employee's face as he removes his jacket, rolls up his sleeves, and gets in the guy's face, sort of acting like he's going to attack this guy. So the employee sort of backs off, lets Callis in. I thought this was a smart way to start the show, sort of continuing where you left off from last week. And Callis is really good in this role. He's continuing to just be really good in every sort of segment he's in with this sort of, now he's just this angry, disgruntled, fired employee who's lost all of his power and the prestige that comes with it, and he's not dealing with it very well. So our opening match is Rosemary versus Kiera Hogan with Tasha Steelz accompanying her. The commentary team let us know that if Rosemary wins, she and Havoc will be next in line for a title shot against Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steelz. So the match
So
starts...
they're teaming together again?
Yes, they are sort of being put together if Rosemary can win this match. So Rosemary hits a side slam, exploder, and tarantula early on. Tasha pulls Rosemary off the apron to shift momentum here. We get more interference by Tasha later. The ref's distracted. Havoc then comes to ringside to balance things out, sort of make sure Tasha behaves herself at ringside. Hogan hits a running kick, among other things, as she's in control of this match for a bit.
Oh my god, when you say Hogan, I don't think of Kiera Hogan.
Flapjack by... See, I do, and that makes me happy. That I don't think of him and I think of her. Flapjack by Rosemary to finally stop Hogan's rush here. We get the SOS slam, we're told, a sling blade, a chancery, and a reverse DDT by Rosemary. Super kick roundhouse by Hogan for 2, and then kind of a sudden wing clipper by Rosemary for the win, just under 8 minutes. And it looks like a title shot for Rosemary and Havoc because there really aren't any other teams right now in this division, so they had to make one kind of on the fly, it feels like. But I actually thought this was a pretty good Knockouts TV match. I haven't been thrilled with Rosemary's work lately. I thought this was a little bit better. Got more time than a lot of matches do on Impact. I know an 8-minute match doesn't sound long, but Impact has a lot of 4 and 5 minute matches on TV, so this was a little bit extra time. They both look pretty good here. At some point, I really think they have plans for Hogan to be a singles star. She's got really good charisma. She's improved a lot in the ring. And I feel like they keep giving her the odd singles match just to see where she's at. I think she'll be getting a singles run at some point. We then get a quick recap of Mahabali Shera taking out the X Division talent last week before posing in the ring with Rohit, Ace Austin, and Fulton, while pointing out here that Chris Bay did not get involved. He's the one member of this sort of X Division group that didn't get involved.
The Alliance.
In this melee last week. He has not chosen which... He's not part of either the heel faction or the Alliance, sorry, not a faction. He's sort of in the middle at this point. So Gia talks to him about it, asked him about what happened and the new sort of heel alliance that's taken shape. She asked Bay why Bay chose not to get involved. He said if his choice was to be a bully or to get beat up, he chooses neither, which I thought made sense, right? Like those were his options. He's going to just count his money instead and get ready to win the X Division title again. So I liked his logic here. Trey Miguel and Petey Williams interrupt because you can't have a segment in Impact without somebody interrupting it. Trey tries to convince...
If you think you can, you're wrong.
Trey tries to convince Bay that he won't be able to do this on his own. He needs to join an alliance and to have a chance at all. Petey says that the lone wolf is the first to be eaten, which I thought was kind of good, and that Bay needs to choose a side before a side chooses him, which I also thought was a cool line.
That's a good line.
Trey and Petey walk off. I actually like this. A quick little realistic story to add to this division, right? So that sometimes the X Division, they just throw stuff together because it's going to be a spot fest match. So this is a little bit of a story that I like included here. The heels have formed an alliance. The baby faces have to as well, sort of. And Bay's somewhere in the middle. So I like this idea of what's Bay going to do when it comes time. He's going to have to make a choice at some point. So a good delivery by everyone here. I liked a couple of the lines specifically. Simple, believable story. And I think this helps this division get a little more attention. I think it deserves it. It's the best thing going right now for me in this company. Gia then talks to Tommy Dreamer. She asks about the outcome of the Don Callis situation with him being fired and Callahan reinstated. Dreamer says he doesn't like to see someone lose their job, but Don Callis deserved what he got, led himself to his own termination. Scott D'Amore interrupts and tells Dreamer that he didn't like that Dreamer kept him in the dark about the Callis firing, as he is sort of in charge of the show and didn't know what was going on here. D'Amore says that he agrees with some of the criticisms that Dreamer had of himself, D'Amore, and thanks Dreamer for helping the company and having the company's best interests in mind. Dreamer reveals that he's going to be working with D'Amore going forward, sort of as a consultant, and he walks off.
They're kind of ripping off NXT.
It felt like it, right? You can see that that D'Amore's not happy that Dreamer's going to be assigned as his consultant. It sort of feels like, as we were just watching in The Office, right? Like we're going to have the co-manager and Michael really doesn't like it because, everybody here's just used to me being in charge and they might be confused by somebody else having power. It kind of feels like that.
Right.
So I'm not a huge fan of storylines involving non-wrestlers taking up time, but it's early, so I'm going to give this a chance. Like, there's just been so many authority figure stories done in the past and the recent past. Makes it really challenging for a company to do anything fresh and exciting in this area. So I'm a little bit skeptical because I don't want this story to be sort of a thread throughout shows and taking up a lot of my time. But I'm not passing judgment yet because obviously it's just starting, so we'll see where it goes. I've also been happy with D'Amore as like the babyface authority figure, right? So I don't like sort of a hint of is he going to turn, because that's when things generally get to be too much for me. Impact Knockouts champion Deonna Purrazzo is going to face Susan, who is accompanied by Kimber Lee in a non-title match.
So is this dissolved then?
Yes, Deonna basically wants nothing more to do with Susan and Lee after last week. So this is kind of their first interaction since their group has broken up. Deonna dominates early, including a fall-away arm breaker. Purrazzo yells at Lee that she could end the match at any time, and that's basically the story of this match, that Purrazzo's kind of dragging it out, but she could just put Susan away at any point.
Well, we know you love watching Susan wrestle, so
I know.
Deonna does have your best interest in mind.
She does. She wants to drag it out, thanks. Straight jacket submission and a backstabber by Purrazzo, who lifts Susan after a 2 count to make the match go longer. Susan kind of gets a quick flurry, culminating in a superplex, but Deonna floats over the superplex, locks in the armbar for the submission victory. Deonna then puts Susan in a butterfly submission after the match. I think it was maybe the Venus de Milo, and Kimber Lee pushes Deonna off of Susan. Deonna yells that she's done with both of them again, sort of to drive that point home. I didn't think the match was great, but I also don't think it was supposed to be. It was basically for Deonna to just dominate Susan, as I think she should, to drive home the point that she's no longer aligned with the other two. I worry about Susan and Kimber. They kind of run the risk of getting lost in the shuffle without Purrazzo. They need to find something interesting for them to do once they're done with this program with Purrazzo, because Lee has not impressed me, and Susan and this character I don't enjoy either. So I don't really know what they're going to do once they're done with Deonna, so they need to think of something. We then get highlights from Before the Impact, where Falaba and TJP defeated Decay, and guess who took the pin? Black Taurus took the pin after a Samoan drop and Mamba Splash, which makes me unhappy because I think Taurus is awesome. But again, the way he's getting treated makes me think that he's not here for the long term, right? He's going back to wherever, what did you say? It was AAA?
I believe so.
Right? So I think he's maybe on loan or on excursion or something, so they can't really do much with him. It feels like I could be wrong, but because I think the guy's super interesting.
I don't know why they didn't put him in Decay then, because then that,
I don't know. He's just their fall guy, I guess, right now. Great news. Swingers Palace is back this week, and it was super lame. TJP is winning at the tables. Falaba is losing. Don't forget they're a tag team now. TJP
I would never forget.
Loans Falaba some money. Swan and Willie Mack come in. I guess they're kind of a tag team now. Swinger points out that he has Hernandez now as muscle. Mack insults Swinger, but says that he's here to win money. Swan puts his feet up on the table with his flashy loafers, and that's not allowed. And they say something like, look, even Johnny Bravo's not allowed to put his feet on the table, and he has amazing shoes. So he has animal print loafers. It's a shoe festival. I don't know. Swan recaps his recent history before TJP and Ba do theirs as well. Both teams think that they are close to a tag title shot, and they make a match for next week, which was the point of this segment. I thought this was a step back to when these Swingers Palace segments were really bad. At the end of the day, I guess it set up a match, but it's not a match I'm excited about in the first place. And I just wonder, who in this company thinks these segments are effective? You know what we need to do? Another Swingers Palace. We got to make sure we get those almost every week. Honestly, if it weren't for Swingers' over-the-top performance, which I find kind of funny, these would be extremely painful. They're still not good, but Swingers' part is kind of funny. Don Callis then approaches Tommy Dreamer backstage, says there are no hard feelings. Callis jokes about how he'd rather be in the street than to have Dreamer over his shoulder like D'Amore has now. Callis transparently sucks up to Dreamer, says that Dreamer is the heart and soul of Impact. Callis proposes Kenny Omega, Carl Anderson, and Doc Gallows versus 3 wrestlers of Dreamer's choosing, and Dreamer ultimately agrees. Callis nonchalantly says that he's looking forward to ending Dreamer's career. I think Callis just continues to do a great job as the slimy, silver-tongued heel, I guess, manager now, because he's sort of talking Dreamer into doing exactly what he wants to do, right? And he's just really good as this slimy guy who's good with words and can manipulate people. Trey Miguel, Petey Williams versus Rohit Raju and Mahabali Shera in this one. Lots of speed to start off, with Petey eventually in control of Rohit. The Tree of Woe groin stand spot by Petey happens here. It seems to be one of his signatures now, where he stands on the guy's groin and starts to sing "Oh Canada," which is kind of funny.
That's funny.
Trey tags in and dominates Rohit briefly before a quick double team by the baby faces. Shera comes in, gets to no-sell Petey's offense because Petey's small and Shera's big, and that's what has to happen. And then he hits a power slam. Can you tell it annoys me? Trey later catches Rohit with a chop before hitting pay dirt. Shera distracts Trey. Rohit hits a flurry to Trey. Petey tags in, catches Rohit with a Russian leg sweep, then a power bomb. Petey sets up for a destroyer, but Ace, Austin, and Madman Fulton show up at ringside, and their distraction allows Rohit to hit Petey with his drive-by running kick for the victory. This had really good action. I quite like this, actually, especially between Trey and Rohit. This was really quick and fun while it lasted. I don't love the X Division guys looking amazing until they face someone big who just dominates them. I really hope that this gets evened out at some point. This division is great right now, but things like this make it seem like a clear step down from the main title. Like Mahabali Shera, who can't get a sniff at the Impact title, can dominate multiple X Division guys, and the same goes for Fulton, right? It's just this, they're big and strong, so they should be able to beat 2 or 3 of these guys at a time, and I really don't like that message. Fulton and Austin joined in to help Rohit, and Shera put the boots to Petey and Trey. Josh Alexander shows up, took down most of the heels. Madman Fulton takes down Alexander with axe handle strikes, which allows the heels to get the numbers advantage again. Chris Bay shows up on the ramp, and rather than help the baby faces, he decides to take a selfie video while he's standing in front of the ring, which I thought was kind of funny, right? It's like this will he or won't he? Nope, he's just there to take his selfies. Alexander looked great taking everybody out, I thought, and Bay taking selfies rather than helping, I thought was a nice touch as well. Gia then approaches Tommy Dreamer and Sami Callihan backstage. Gia asks if Sami is one of the wrestlers to face Omega and the Good Brothers. Dreamer reveals that he was in fact recruiting Callihan. Callihan agrees because he'll be able to get his hands on Kenny Omega. Moose randomly walks into the scene, says I'm in, and leaves, so it looks like he's the second partner in this match. Dream wonders if he should have told Moose who the third partner was, because Moose probably won't like it.
Chris Sabin?
Sammy says, what's the fun in that? Why do you always gotta play by the rules? Yeah, so they don't say who it is here. You are right. It is going to be Sabin, but at this point, we're not told. We're just led to believe it's somebody Moose doesn't get along with, but at this point, I don't think Moose gets along with anybody, so it's not really a surprise.
It's anybody on the roster.
Right. I thought this segment was fine. Again, I don't need too much of these now multiple authority figures on the show. I've enjoyed Callihan lately, actually, now that he's stopped that whole glitching, controlling the lighting and the Tron and teleporting. I like him as just a violent badass that he is right now, right? That is what I would prefer. So here comes a really long in-ring conversational segment with Rachel Ellering in the ring first to speak. She says she was wearing rose-colored glasses and couldn't see the red flags with Jordynne Grace. She calls Grace to come out, and Jordynne Grace does. Ellering says that winning the tag titles with Grace was one of the proudest moments of her life. She literally breaks down into tears, saying that she was in the lowest point in her entire life a year ago and was not herself. She was struggling to get through each day. She had lots of people around her trying to help her from the darkness by putting her into a pool of positivity. And as good as that was, she started to dislike being put into that pool. And then she feels she did the same thing to Jordynne Grace. And she starts to talk about Tenille a little bit, but Grace cuts her off, doesn't give a damn about Tenille Dashwood or anything that has happened recently. Grace angrily lists her credentials and says that she can do things herself. Ellering says she's sorry and doesn't want what Tenille has been saying about them to get to Grace. Grace gets in Ellering's face at this point, says that if Ellering mentions Tenille one more time, she's going to drop Rachel Ellering on her head. At this point, Jazz's music hits, she makes her return, and she walks out.
Yay!
She says she loves both of them and knew that together Grace and Ellering would do great things. People talking about them being the shortest reigning Knockouts tag champs is just a hurdle that they can clear together, and that Grace's ego is getting in the way. Ellering says it's both of their faults, but that she wants to rebuild the team with this adversity being one of the bricks in the foundation going forward. Jazz tells Grace that the ball is in her court, and Grace says she needs some time to think, and she leaves the ring. Once Grace is gone, Tenille and Caleb show up, and they walk to the ring. Tenille walks to the ring, talks about how Ellering should have teamed up with Tenille instead of Grace, and all the things that would have come with that. Ellering cuts her off, and a million different ways says no, there's no chance, etc. She only wants to be in the ring with Tenille if Tenille is her opponent. She then challenges Tenille to another match. Tenille tries to sucker punch Ellering. Ellering sees it coming, counters with a spine buster, and then Caleb has to pick up Tenille and carry her away. So this was a really long segment, but I actually really liked it. Ellering came across as really sincere and believable as a person trying to apologize to save a relationship, right? She's not blaming Grace. She's saying, like, you were in a bad place and I'm trying to force you into this pool of positivity like people were doing with me. And I realized that that gets frustrating and you sort of resist that a little bit. Her soft-spoken, kind-sounding promo style, super unique in the world of wrestling. And I'm starting to really like it. She just sounds like a really nice, kind person. And it seems weird in wrestling, but I like it. Grace and Jazz said very little, but I thought they were good in their roles too. I still don't exactly know where this is going, and I think that's kind of a good thing, right? It probably could have been shortened up a bit, but I was actually interested throughout this. So, and it's still not clear, right? Is Grace going to turn heel? Is she going to rejoin this team? So I'm still pretty interested in it. I thought this was a good segment. Quick clip then of Brian Myers giving Sam Beal advice as Beal is taking notes. Myers hands Beal a like cheesy entrance mask to wear because that was part of Myers' gimmick, so he's trying to pass that on to Sam
was
Beal.
Was he wearing a COVID mask?
Yeah, so that's basically what this is, and it had something written cheaply on it. It was like a white COVID mask with something written on it, I think. So we get Sam Beal with Brian Myers versus Jake something. Beal does wear the cheap mask for his entrance, and he also has his notebook tucked into his trunks as he makes his entrance. I thought that was kind of funny. Beal gets slammed and run over right away, and he escapes the ring to get some advice from Myers. Myers' distraction allows Beal to run Jake into the post and deliver some strikes. Really impressive because Beal's a pretty big guy. He jumps off the top, and Jake catches him and hits a huge Michinoku driver for a 2 count. I thought it was going to end right there. It looked like it probably should have. You get an eye gouge by Beal as Myers slides a chair into the ring. Jake gets rid of the chair, hits a corner spear, and a big black hole slam for the win in like 3 minutes. After the match, Myers says that Beal shouldn't blame himself because everyone should always blame somebody else, which is one of his main pieces of advice to Beal here. He goes on to say that Beal should blame Jake something because Jake something is not a professional. Myers then tells Beal that his next piece of advice is to watch whatever Jake does and just do the opposite. So this wasn't a complete squash, but it was pretty close. Jake honestly looked like a beast, catching him, hitting that Michinoku driver. The black hole slam looks pretty good. He displayed a lot of power in this quick match. It was really just a vehicle for the aftermath with Jake and Myers, which I'm fine with because I actually find their mentor-mentee, sort of mentor-protege thing pretty amusing every week so far. We then get Eddie Edwards and Kojima are shown backstage. They're getting ready for their tag team championship match in the main event tonight. Swan and Mac approach them, of course, because you have to do that. And they chat. The audio isn't great, so the gist I got is Eddie tells Swan that once he and Kojima win, Mac and Swan will get the first title shot. So that's their plan. Commentary announced the following matches for next week. TJP Falaba versus Rich Swann and Willie Mack. Chris Bay versus Petey Williams, which could be pretty awesome. Kenny Omega, Anderson, and Gallows versus Callahan, Moose, and Chris Sabin. I don't remember them revealing Sabin as the third man until now. They just sort of announce it here. If I'm right and they didn't announce it, I thought it was a bit of an odd choice to just throw it in here, but it's possible I missed something. I don't think I did because I pay pretty close attention while I'm taking notes. But so we find out right here, it is Sabin. Then it's the main event. Eddie Edwards and Kojima.
Yeah, do we know what happened to Alex Shelley?
No. He's just been gone forever, right? And they're still finding ways to put Sabin into just tag teams here and there.
Yeah, what about Beer Gun?
Right. Eddie Edwards and Kojima versus Violent by Design. So Freebird rules apply. This time it is Diener and Joe Doring. So Eric Young and Rhino are there with them, obviously, at ringside. And I'm sure they'll have a role in this. So Doring runs over Edwards to start, quickly tags Diener. Double team back elbows by the faces. Kick to Kojima from Doring in the apron. Sort of changes the momentum here, Violent by Design are in control for a while, isolating Kojima, making frequent tags, while the other Violent by Design members sort of taunt Kojima from the floor. So a beaten down Kojima finally hits a suplex to Doring, makes the tag. Edwards obviously cleans house, hits a blue thunder bomb to Diener. Suicide dive and tope combo by Kojima and Edwards to the heels on the floor. Violent by Design then briefly distract Edwards from ringside and the heels take control. We get a power bomb by Diener. Power slam elbow drop combo by Doring. Eddie now takes his turn being isolated by the heels as they cut the ring in half again. Eddie finally hits a suplex to Diener, makes the hot tag to Kojima. Kojima's on fire this time, back elbows, forearms, and then he does his lame machine gun chops. Doring tries to get involved, but he gets the lame chops as well. Eddie and Kojima are both in the ring. Top rope Rana by Edwards and the elbow drop by Kojima for a really near fall. I actually sort of believed that this would be the finish. It's not. Swinging neckbreaker by Diener to slow Kojima. Diener misses a diving headbutt. Kojima tags Edwards. A Damagiri by Edwards and a high backpack. His backpack stunner's broken up by a nice Doring diving crossbody. It looks honestly really good. Diving headbutt by Diener for 2. All 4 in the ring. Schoolboy by Eddie for 2. Double clothesline by Doring. Revolution bomb countered by Eddie into a Hurricane Rana. Koji cutter. Kojima leaves the ring to go deal with Diener on the outside. Eddie attempts his Boston knee party. Doring catches him, which I thought looked awesome. Hits his huge Revolution bomb, which is like a spinning sit-out power bomb. Right. And Violent by Design retain. So I've seen enough of Doring now to officially say that I think everything he does looks like it hurts. I'm really starting to enjoy his sort of methodical but high impact style. Thought this was a well-worked tag match. The heels isolate, make tags. That was sort of the thing. Babyface make hot tags, distractions from ringside. Even D'Lo called it like a textbook tag team wrestling, and I think I kind of agree with that. Last few minutes really picked up. The finishing sequence was really fun. I thought this was a good main event and a pretty solid episode of Impact overall. So yeah, I don't have any major complaints with this episode. Obviously, Swingers Palace is a low point. It almost always is. I like where they're going with the X Division. I like the sort of X Division guys in a match with Mahabali Shera. That match was fun. The main event was really fun. Even the opening match, right? I enjoyed the women's match with Kiera Hogan and Rosemary. So I thought this was a pretty solid show throughout. That didn't drag. There was nothing that was really offensive to me. I'm going to give it, I'm sort of doing my grade right here on the fly because I didn't sort of decide. It feels like I'm going to give it a B show, pretty close to a B plus, to be honest. I mean, I'm really into the X Division stuff, and Violent by Design. Remember what I was saying is they were cool, but they need to start stringing together some impressive wins and stuff. So they're starting to do that. They're becoming...
The Calder shot trophy was
big for them.
Move, right?
Which I don't know if that was even the intention, because Rhino seemed to be added late to the group, but they are becoming a more...
the plan was Heath, right? But
yes. Yeah, he was... And I don't know when he's coming back, but it should be soon. So yeah, I thought this was a pretty solid episode of Impact. I'm going to give it a B, almost a B+. So out of the two shows we've watched, a pretty good week of wrestling. So I'm really hoping Dynamite keeps up that pace tonight, or even is better would be great. So what else do you have for us?
So just a Money in the Bank update.
Yep.
So Riddle beat Drew McIntyre, and what I heard was a good match.
Really? That would be a decent match, probably.
Yeah. To qualify.
Good for him.
Ricochet beat AJ Styles, which I think we watched.
We did?
Or we watched some of it.
Okay. Him in a multi...
Or no, we watched... I don't know.
I don't think I did. Him in a multi-person match where he can do some cool stuff is always a good idea.
Yeah, but now he's the next guy in the line wearing straight attire for no reason.
Yeah, that's true.
That's dumb, but...
I feel like he might be the new, like, Kofi. We put him in because he's going to do cool stuff in these multi-man matches.
Yeah, and John Morrison beat Randy Orton, so these guys beating, like, top guys, which is interesting.
I like that because I like when Money in the Bank is used to put over somebody who hasn't been.
I hope Riddle wins.
I think that out of the ones you're talking about seems like he's the most likely. But
so Naomi and Asuka beat Eva Marie and Doudrop.
Doudrop.
Piper Niven to qualify for Money in the Bank in a tag match. So like Naomi and Asuka would qualify. Yep. And Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, who they're no longer a team, but they were.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. They beat Jax and Baszler to earn their spots, which I have conflicting feelings because obviously I want Baszler in the match, but with this tag structure, that would mean Nia Jax would have to be in the match.
So
for the better the match, I guess this is better.
Did Eva Marie actually wrestle?
I have no idea.
I don't either.
I just know the
haven't
results.
Heard.
And for the SmackDown side of things, Big E beat Apollo Crews in a non-title match.
Mm-hmm.
To qualify.
They're still wrestling.
I don't think they're feuding, but that was just like. And Liv Morgan beat Carmella, and I don't think that was an official qualifying match, but it's supposed she is in, and Carmella already qualified, I think. I don't really know that.
Interesting.
Yeah. Then so Raw's clearly ahead of SmackDown because like their women's side they're good.
Right.
It's 4 per side. And then there's a last chance qualifying match on Raw.
Right.
Because they always got to do that. Which it'll be the 3 guys that lost, McIntyre, AJ, and Orton. And then I saw they've been teasing like, is Orton gonna be mad? Because like when Riddle was on his scooter, trying to chase away Miz on his wheelchair, that kind of distracted Orton.
Even you describing this, when the one guy was on his razor scooter chasing the other guy in the wheelchair, like it just sounds silly. And
so like they're teasing something there, but yeah, so Money in the Bank stuff.
I'm wondering if I didn't listen to stuff about main roster because I feel like I'm way behind. This all sounds like new information.
Who cares?
Which is good. You're catching me up.
Yeah,
beautiful.
You're welcome, I guess.
Is that it?
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to move into the final segment every week, which is Jack updating us on the world of wrestling action figures and whatnot in Figuring It Out with Jack.
So I just got figure leaks again.
Mm-hmm.
So for some upcoming figure lamps. And these are, like, it's most likely that these are correct, but, like, these aren't a sure thing.
Yeah, they're not set in stone.
Right.
Right.
So we got Elite 90, which is Randy Orton, which everyone's hoping it's his white attire from Mania this year, which I think that'd be cool. White attire is always cool.
It is.
Yeah, so I would like, if I'm getting a Randy Orton, I would like a white Randy Orton.
Sure.
We got Jey Uso, and there's no Jimmy Uso, so that makes me think it'll be like a
from
recent.
his current. Yeah.
So that'd be cool. I would like that.
Yep.
And that's AJ. So that'd be. I would get that.
The right hand man version or whatever.
I would get that.
Yeah.
Mustafa Ali. I would get that. Although I hope it's not Retribution Ali.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah. Bronson Reed. That's cool. I would get
Yep,
him.
that's
well.
cool because he'll have a unique body sculpt probably. Which I'm
or
a
they
sucker
could.
for.
I could see them reusing the Otis one.
Yeah,
maybe.
possibly.
Big Boss Man, which is interesting.
Yep.
And he's also the Chase variant.
Nice.
And so what they could do is they could do like a 90s one and then an Attitude Era one.
Yeah, the security guard,
Although they
prison guard outfit, and then the flak jacket outfit.
They've
sorta.
just done another Big Boss Man like Attitude Era one in the Battle Pack series.
I think he's a guy that was better than I thought he was at the time.
And the last one.
Mm-hmm.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Reckoning.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Where is that?
Medium.
Right, where's she been?
I don't know.
Didn't she move to SmackDown?
Yep.
But hasn't been seen since?
Nope. That's
wow.
Yeah, I
Cool.
hope Mustafa Ali is like either like just his current gear where it's like it's kind of Retribution look, but it's like it's got the A, so
Yeah.
it's like it's still solo gear, or it's like similar to the Elite we already got.
Nice. Well, I guess we'll see.
Elite 91, we got Kevin Owens. That would be cool.
Yep.
It'll probably be pretty similar to his last one,
Mm-hmm.
just maybe different shirt, but that's fine. I'd probably get it,
Mhm.
or like if I
You
got
get
it,
any figure.
or
let's
if
be
I
real.
got it, I would be like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sami Zayn, he hasn't gotten an Elite since 63.
Will it be him with his crazy hair now?
I would assume so.
I hope so.
Yeah, and so like he's got this is like if it's true, this is Elite 91.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's gotten a mainline Elite since 63.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Hulk Hogan.
Yay. Buy it and melt it down.
I saw someone
Reshape it into something useful.
wanted like a
doorstop.
2002 Hulk Hogan. I
Paperweight.
think that'd be interesting just because we haven't gotten
So
that.
much
I
Hulk
probably
Hogan
won't get
talk
it.
on this
I
show.
won't
It's
get it.
upsetting me.
Austin Theory.
Yeah.
I do want that because he's only got a basic,
Yeah, he's cool.
and now that we know he's good.
Yep.
Rob Van Dam.
Yep. Heard
He's
of
the
him.
Chase variant, so he's getting two.
Nice.
That'd be cool. And Bianca Belair.
Nice.
And then we got some Ultimate Edition sets. We got Ultimate Edition 11, which is rumored to be Kane and Undertaker.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be cool.
Mhm.
Because they're cool. Depending on what you do with Kane, you could give him different masks.
Yeah, or no mask. The rare
Mhm.
time he had no mask.
I don't know how you would do that, but you could do like 2003 Kane when he unmasked, right? So you would get like, oh, they just didn't leave that. Anyways, my idea for that would be you give him the mask, right? Like the half mask, the 2003
Yep.
version. You would maybe give a face like maybe the head where like you unmasked, which they just did, but you could just put that in again, and you give him the bald head.
Yep.
So you give him the three options, and like I would say maybe you like for the mask head sculpt, you mold the mask on because then it always looks better. But you maybe also include a removable mask if you want to put it on like the bald head or something,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then you would have like a fabric singlet, because if you wanted to have it off, because when you first removed, he was bald, but then he was wearing the singlet for a bit, but then eventually didn't. So you know what I mean? Like you'd have like if you want the option to remove the singlet.
Right. You could have several
So-
figures and combine them.
And Undertaker, I feel like you have a lot of options for him. You could do like I feel like maybe like a Ministry Undertaker would be cool. You know when he's got like the big cape thingy
Yep.
and whatever, or like American Badass Undertaker. I don't know. There's a lot of Undertakers you could do.
For sure.
I wonder if there's like some way you could find like a gimmick spanning one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know.
I feel like that'd be interesting. Ultimate Mission 12 is kind of odd. It's Batista, which is cool, and Alexa Bliss.
Yep.
If they did like current Alexa Bliss, I feel like you could do like a bunch of different faces. If they did the goo face, remember from Mania,
Mhm.
that'd be awful. Batista would be cool. I think you
Blue
could.
Tista?
I would buy it. If it's Blue Tista, I'll buy it.
Nice.
That'd be funny. Ultimate Mission 13, you're gonna love this. Hulk Hogan and Mr. T.
Amazing.
That's just I'm not even gonna speculate on that.
No.
Ultimate Edition 14, I actually quite like this one. It's probably my favorite. Roman Reigns and Rey Mysterio.
Yeah.
Rey Mysterio like basically wears something different every week, so
He does.
the options with him are like limitless.
Yep.
Keith Lee. If you like, I guess if you were to like, you could pull a Jeff Hardy, because you know that Jeff Hardy that I got that I broke.
Yeah.
With the 3 different face paints.
Yep.
You could do like if you chose like a Rey Mysterio that's like a certain color, right? You would give the mask that's accurate to the attire. It's like say you pick some blue attire, like perhaps the recent one he wore, like where it's like the longer side bits.
Yep.
You would like include maybe a couple of older blue masks that are from different attires, but they're the same color, so
Right.
like, they would actually work. You
Yep.
know, like kind of do that. And then Roman Reigns, you would probably just do his current one.
I would think.
But you could probably get. I could see them doing like
with
the
the
long hair.
stupid gauntlet thing on his hand.
You could do the long hair, the man bun. I could see you giving him like a screaming head or something. That'd be cool.
Yep.
And like you could give him shirt. Like maybe you can include, and so because like they did like a fabric shirt and then his vest.
Mm-hmm.
And as recently, you could give him like 2 different shirts. Like you could give the Rack Army one and leave again maybe. And what they've been doing for Ultimate Editions now is that there's no Velcro on the back because you can take the arms and heads off.
Right.
So then you could have logos on both sides if you want to, and then you could include the Show Up and Win shirt.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw that now he has white shirts with like black lettering.
Nice.
So yeah, I don't know. These are cool. Some of them I like. Like I think the Elite sets are pretty good.
So we'll just see what they look like when they actually make them, I guess.
Yeah, and if like usually the leaks are pretty safe.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I don't know, but these aren't set in stone.
Right. Is that it?
Yes.
Cool. Well, that brings us to
We're
the
done at 1 on
end
the spot.
we are at end of episode 49.
Yeah.
Like we always say,
a year.
if you'd like to contact us, we would love to hear from anybody, any sort of feedback. fnswrestling@gmail.com, fns_wrestling_podcast on Instagram, or in the comments section on YouTube. I will reply.
I will also
no
try
matter
to reply.
what. Be great to hear from anybody. So take a look tomorrow. There should be a Dynamite review coming up at some point tomorrow. I'm not sure what time we'll get to it, but hopefully it'll be published tomorrow. So we'd just like to thank any listeners giving us any time out of their week. We really do appreciate it. And I guess hopefully we'll see you back here tomorrow. And until then, take care.